Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Don't fret. I am here. We just need to activate the camera. It's here. CRG Geo, George Morgan, back on your screens here at PSGL, now known as George Morgan TV. It's a pleasure to be back here, obviously, and certainly back with you lot. Here I am, back on your screens once again. We're back for PSGL, the PC Championship, the Paul Ricard circuit here for the French GP, and I have to say I'm looking forward to this one, Jack. It's going to be an incredible fiesta of racing.
Oh yes, absolutely, and the drivers are on it tonight. They were already loading into the lobby, so no issues whatsoever. And boy, I am so looking forward to this one. Barry's back, Jarno's back, Danny's on the grid. This is going to be fantastic. It's not my favorite circuit, I'll admit, France, but with the grid we have, it should make it good.
Yeah, I have to say, folks, it's going to be an absolute dynamo affair. I cannot wait for this one. Paul Ricard circuit, 90,000 capacity circuit, of course. A grade 1 circuit as well, obviously, because it hosts Formula 1, of course. The circuit, 5.842 kilometers. That's 3.630 miles. And, of course, 15 corners making up this track. And the fastest lap in real Formula 1 owned by none other than Sebastian Vettel. The German owns the fastest lap time around this track, and I can assure you we're probably going to see some even faster times today because the Flying Dutchman's back. The whiz kid Barry Burrowman is back as well in his brand new sim rig. We're going to be seeing some incredible action here today, Jack.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're going to wait to see what the championship situation is going to be after this one. Of course, Philip Preschneider is your championship leader at the moment by just 9 points with a resurgence of Alvaro Karaton on great form, 2 second places in a row. Still not able to break into that top podium position just yet, but he's looking really good to maybe get that once this season. But he's on great form. He's now in the championship fight. And Josh Idowu right in there as well, only 12 points off the lead as well. So it's very, very close. We've nearly got 5 contenders for the championship with just a few rounds left. And oh my word, look at the rain here in France.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit damp here, Jack, I have to say. The rain certainly coming down at the bucket load, I will say. But I have to say, we're still going to be in line for an incredible series of qualifying sessions. Remember, we've got the Q1, 2, and 3 system, folks, and then we head into the race. So there's plenty of opportunity for change. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But obviously, the current forecast for Q1 is absolutely drenched. And of course, we'll look forward to seeing what happens as we wind our way through this circuit. But of course, now, the current title affairs, you quite rightly touched on, Jack. We got Philip Preschneider currently owning top spot. But of course, we've still got the likes of Karaton, Idowu, not to mention Barry Burrowman, who's now back. The Flying Dutchman, Jarno Watme, is here as well. So all top 5 drivers here partaking in tonight's action. It's going to be brilliant. But I think we should go through the driver lineup as well, because we've had a couple of changes. You've still got Jarno and Danny Moreno in the Mercedes, Ruben Vallejo and Dylan Warren still occupying the Racing Point, Simon Shooter and Josh Idowu in the McLaren. Not forgetting Jake Benham and Joe Hannon, both in AlphaTauri. Then you got Floris Viers, Lewis Welch in the Haas, as well as Domenico Levesque, Dario Iamulo there in Red Bull, and of course Fabrizio Donoso, Nicholas Longe, who are today announced as the drivers for the new Alpine esports team as well, formerly Renault. They're in the Renault car here today, of course. Philip Preschneider and Tom Martinez, who are donning the Ferrari. You got Barry Burrowman, Simon Weigang in the Alfa Romeo, Alvaro Karaton and Nicholas Matteo lining up for the Williams team. It's going to be an absolutely incredible affair, and we're already witnessing cars going out onto the circuit.
Just one car making his way on the circuit, and it is Fabrizio Donoso. Brings the French car out onto the French circuit for the first time tonight. Full wet conditions. It is really coming down right here. And of course, Fabrizio freshly announced, of course, at Alpine for the new F1 Esports Series as well. And he continues his great form in the F1 Esports Series. He's been in every single season so far in F1 Esports. Continues to impress. And this is a circuit that historically Donoso goes well at. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on. The last time I did see him do a league race around here, it was at the very death in the wet, and he managed to take a win. So do not count out Fabrizio Donoso. Very, very quick, and we'll wait to see what happens. But every driver kind of waiting a little bit long, because it doesn't seem like the fact that they're not coming out immediately seems to suggest that the weather is going to maybe get better throughout the session. But these are going to be the sighter laps right now, and on full wets. So just Preschneider and Donoso out on the track. But sighter laps right now, potentially the weather could be getting better. That's why we're not seeing everybody out on the circuit. Or it could be a fact that the weather is going to stay the same and everybody just wants to be the last to get across the line.
Absolutely. Well, now we're witnessing Donoso coming around the latter stages of this lap. Of course, this is his out lap, so do not pay too much attention to the invalidation on his lap time there in the bottom. And of course, you can just see there the orange glow on those brakes there as he was braking. So obviously really hammering home on the brakes very hard there. And naturally, the speed that these cars carry through some of these corners is absolutely immense. As we're now witnessing him cross the line and commence his fast lap here in amongst this wet race here at France. And there's Alvaro Karaton leaving the pit lane as well. So he's going to come and join the party. Lewis Welch out on track. Joe Hannon as well as Dylan Warren. And we've also got Ruben Vallejo out as well as Tom Martinez. And I believe Thyman Shooter has also expressed a trip out onto track. In fact, no, I'm wrong. Dario Iamulo and Philip Presnader are the ones who ventured out onto the track. But nice to see Dylan Warren back again as well. And of course, a fan favourite here at PSGL. Are we going to expect some more unprecedented magic from the youngster in the Racing Point?
Well, I'm sure he's going to gain at least half a second by the fact that he's added CRG to his name. It's the first time we've seen him in PSGL with the CRG tag.
Go comrades!
Next to his name. So he's surely going to gain some time in that one at the very least. But yeah, I mean, Dylan's always thereabouts. Qualifying doesn't tend to go well for him, but he's managed to come back from it, crucially, in the past couple of weeks. So he's good at recovery, but if you can sort the qualifying out, then he could be really on for a decent haul of points. Himself and Ruben Vallejo have been a very good lineup there at Racing Point. So we'll see if they can secure themselves some points. Hopefully they can. And we'll look forward to seeing that as the first laps will be coming in just a few moments' time, but they won't be at the fastest times. Of course, we're not looking for the fastest times overall in this one. We're just looking to see who's going to be in the bottom 5 at the end of it. Of course, 16th downwards will get eliminated in Q1 before we move on to Q2. So this, if Q2 is a dry session, then it saves them a set of tyres.
It does indeed, and though naturally this time they could actually utilise the wets for their purpose, and Donoso sets the pace for this session. 142.423 is the early offering here, and we've just seen as well Karaton, who's currently obviously P2 in the Drivers' Championship. He's crossed the line as well to commence his fast lap. Now making his way through the initial corners, of course, turn 1 into turn 2. On the outset now, powering down towards the next chicane at turns 3 and 4. And we can ride on board. In fact, as Philip Presnader sets the P2 time 1.8 seconds slower than that of Fabrizio Donoso, newly crowned Alpine driver, of course, as we're now witnessing Karaton make his way through this initial sector. Now breaking into Sector 2 proper and making his way towards this long stretch leading towards the Mistral chicane, and loses it slightly there, Jack. Not a lot of traction heading into that straight.
No, he's found the limit of the grip through there, I'm sure, for Alvaro Karaton. Very easy to do that. You got to flick it back to the left and try and keep on the power as best as you can, because it's a slingshot onto the straight. So Karaton finding the limit there, getting a little bit out of shape, but he sorts it all out and he can get himself back underway. The beauty of these, of course, is that you can save up your ERS quite a lot, because you don't use a lot of it in the rain. But it is very, very slippery out there at the moment. So the drivers have been trying to get used to that. Dylan Warren pops into second, 42.923. And we're almost about 13 to 14 seconds off the dry pace. Dario Iamulo, 42.0. He goes to the top of the standings, and we're heading towards 10 minutes to go. Doesn't look like this rain is going to clear up, but the track will evolve with the dry line, so it'll be whoever gets across the line last who will benefit the most, as Donoso getting quicker and quicker each time, so the track beginning to evolve now. It
certainly is. Fabrizio Donoso on top spot. I just want to let you guys know as well, we do have another Donoso in an AlphaTauri. That is, in fact, Jake Benham in that car as well. He failed to change his number again, Jack. Naughty boy.
Oh. Oh dear. I think he got a penalty for that last week, as far as I remember, or somebody did anyway, for running the same number, and we have it again. So Jake Benham, 10th place in the AlphaTauri. He's now going to be beginning his lap anyway. But to mention AlphaTauri as well, I mean, they're kind of a underdog powerhouse in Formula One real life, and I think they've got one here, to be fair. Jake Benham going very, very well in there, and Joe Hannon put on a really good performance in Japan. So I think they could be on for some, maybe making it inside that top 5 if they get a clean run. As Barry, he's back on top once again, 41.4 by a tenth and a bit over Donoso. So he's certainly adjusting to that new rig very nicely indeed.
Yes, I got to say, bringing back memories, Barry Burrowman slotting himself on top spot in the Alfa Romeo, of course. And it'd be interesting to see how he gets on heading into the last stages of qualifying. But early signs certainly looking good here by the very fast Iranian. That, of course, being Barry Burrowman. He's been absolutely superb. 3 wins in his first 3 races here at PSGL. And then, of course, he had to drop out, obviously, due to his move and had to get the rig changed. But Barry Burrowman, sensational stuff. 141.490. And Dario Imulo there, moving his way up into what he was in P3. Joe Hannon has now taken that away from him. 141.684. But just look at that time from Barry Burrowman. Nearly enough. 2/10 quicker than Fabrizio Donoso, who has felt the need to retire. So he obviously thinks that he's in the clear. So surely that solidifies Barry Burrowman's pace.
Absolutely, indeed, yeah. And Barry just cruising back to pit lane now. A couple of others who are still on fast laps at the moment. So wait to see if anybody's going to be able to improve. Let's see if Karaton can improve, because of course he had that big moment on his lap. He's just began his second attempt right now, sliding his way through the first chicane. And let's see how this compares to the fastest guys at the moment. He's coming through sector number 1, and this would be a lot quicker than the drive. It's so nasty in these conditions. It's very, very slow. 25.653 in the first sector for him. So that's only a tenth off of Barry. And again, that same corner, but he manages to catch it this time. That corner's catching him out quite a lot. He's trying to carry a lot of speed in there, but the car just won't have it.
Yeah, Domenico Levesque moving up into P4. I saw him struggling on that same corner on his outlap as well. He very nearly lost it, I have to say. But just looking further down the grid, still no movement from Jarno Watmere. Thyman Shooter is there too. He's yet to go out on a lap time. But Chana Kinchi up into P14 as well. Dylan Warren up into P9, up into the top 10 for the youngster. And I'm sure his fans will be delighted with that. Dario improves again. He's up into P2. And within a tenth of a second, just over half a tenth, this Nicholas Matteo moves up into P10 as well. So the times are starting to flitter through now. But still well over 7.5 minutes remaining here, folks. So plenty of time in the offing for a bit of a turn up here in this qualifying session. But what a start by Barry Burrowman. He's in the clear, but Dario getting very close as well. So we'll keep an eye on how this grid performs. Obviously, Q1, only thing that's on the line is getting into Q2 as Jari Fitz makes his way up into P7. And you'd be delighted with that. Certainly the man in the Alfa Romeo. If they can park 2 cars in the top 10 in the initial stages, as Karaton does the business, moves up into P3. And excellent stuff indeed within the 0.2 of a second mark, ahead of Fabrizio Donoso as well. And we'll have to wait and see whether he can improve or get used to that section. I think obviously when you bring water into play at the Paul Ricard, certainly with it being a very flat surface, traction is pretty much non-existent, Jack.
No, it's not there at all. And you can see if you run off the line, it is really, really slippery. So Vallejo pops to third. Now, good effort from Vallejo. And I'm looking at the times right here. And somebody who's lighting them up at the moment is Joe Hannon. He's gone purple sector 1, personal best in the middle sector. So this track is evolving very quickly. But this is going to be a great effort from Joe Hannon. If you can get through, there's Barry up to the top. Look at that for a time 3 tenths faster than anybody at the moment ahead of Yamulo. So this track, as I mentioned, is evolving at a rapid rate. The dry line is forming. We have more Dylan Warren. Where's he come from? Up to second place. He's going well, isn't he? In that racing point. Joe Hannon coming to the last corner right now. He's done some really nice sector times. Matteo into 4th now. Here comes Joe Hannon. He's out the last corner right now. His sector times have been very, very good. Where is this going to put him on the grid? He goes up now to 5th place. So good effort, but it's super close. From 2nd all the way down to 5th, all within a tenth of each other. With Barry, he's found 3 tenths. But look at this. We have Moreno out on the circuit right now, but still no sign of Jarno Watmere. He's confident, but a man we know is very good in the wet is Moreno.
He certainly is. He is absolutely tremendous to watch, and we'll have to wait and see how he gets on, of course. And there's Dylan Warren now making his way around the circuit. There's Thyman Shooter who's out on a lap as well. Here's Danny Moreno making his way down the stretch now. And I have to say, it'd be great for Mercedes if they can get both their cars as well in the high echelons at the end of qualifying. And big points in the offing for them. Currently, Alfa Romeo on top spot. They've taken their 3 wins that Barry Burrowman got them. They also nailed a 2nd place at Spa. Not to mention some solid points in Silverstone. Well, only a point in Silverstone. And then, of course, when we went to Zandvoort, they picked up 4, but they haven't scored in their last 2 outings, Jack. So it's very important that Alfa can actually scrape together some points here. Certainly here at this French Grand Prix. It's going to be really key for them to get themselves back on a level playing field. Mercedes currently in P4 as well. They've scored 2 victories, one being in Zandvoort and Silverstone. But they also scored 2nd place at Japan last time out. So again, they'll be hunting for points too. So it's going to be a very hotly contested affair. Williams in superb form, winners of the last 2 races.
Absolutely, and Barry's just gone quicker again. Now he's 4/10 clear of everybody else, so he's flying out there in the wet conditions and is trying to get a line in right now. And there's Matteo. He gets closer, 41.2 from the young Spaniard. Great effort, so that we're getting closer to Barry each time. So the gap closes to just a 1/10 of a second right now. And a man who's on a lap, a beginning one, is Danny Moreno in his Mercedes. He was the winner in Japan last time out, and he's going to want to carry that momentum forward once again. But wet qualifying, we know he's good in the wet, so we'll see if he can bring this to the fore in Q1. Doesn't have to take the fastest time, but he just needs to make sure he's out of that bottom 5. But we know, because of how close this grid is, we just don't know what's going to happen. He's actually getting a slipstream from his comrade there. Matteo gives him a slipstream down the back straight.
Certainly does. They're heading down towards the chicane, now the Mistral chicane, and the black arrow of the Mercedes of Danny Moreno. And this is probably, I think this is the first time actually we've seen Moreno and Otmir on the track together, because remember they were swapping over, I believe, for the Formula E Accelerate Championship, as far as I'm aware. And as we're now witnessing, Moreno just scoot his way around turn 10, heading down towards turn 11. Yellow flags now turn green, so that'll be a little bit more encouraging for him. Maybe a slow down car heading through this section. We'll have to wait and see. But as we can now see, the black arrow of the Mercedes now whittling his way through sector 3 now. Very key for both of them, obviously, to get into Q2. And then naturally the tyre compounds will be decided when we head into that section. Jarno Otmir also out on an outlap, as you now see an Alfa burst out of the way to allow Moreno to come through now to the final corner, this being turn 15. Want to get a nice exit from here now as he makes his way down the stretch. No DRS will be applied as he makes his way up towards the line. What's Moreno going to lay down here as he comes across the line? No time up to P9, so he's within the top 10. So that's the first Mercedes in the bag. And Otmir, I'm sure, will be coming up very soon.
Man who needs to improve, though, George. Josh Ido, who's on the bubble in 15th place, he has to now get himself further up, because none of these guys kind of there are safe in any kind of stretch of the imagination. The man who's currently out at the moment is Lewis Welsh in 16th. Now, of course, we have Jarno, who's about to begin his lap right now, and he's left it now to the very last moment here in qualifying. He's very confident, it seems, that he's going to be able to get that thing into the top 16, and he's got 2 attempts now to give it a go. So Jarno Otmir, welcome back to PSGL.
Yes, welcome back, the Flying Dutchman here, and no doubt this is going to be a last gasp to try and get himself into Q2 here with only minutes remaining here in this Q1 session. It's going to be a big bold attempt, that's for sure, as he makes his way through sector 1 now, heading down the stretch, leading down towards turns 8 and 9. That, of course, being the Mistral chicane. We're also seeing Barry Burrowman's retired from the session, quite rightly so. He's a 10th up on Nicholas Matteo at this late stage. And I got to say, credit to Nicholas Matteo. It's Fabrizio Donoso, who I thought retired. Actually, he's back with a vengeance. P3 for the Renault car. He must have just boxed. I don't think we have the full information in through our timing screens. We're now witnessing Otmir bursting down the stretch now, soon to be heading through that chicane very shortly. And I have to say, you'd be looking to typify this performance with a good solid lap time now, and donning those wet tyres. Let's see how effective the Flying Dutchman is in the wet. Of course, if he's anything like the Pirates of the Caribbean, they certainly go well in the wet, don't they, Jack?
Well, absolutely. There's Moreno up to second, 9 thousandths behind Burrowman. Here comes Ido across the start-finish line. Now he goes to 4th, so he improves and gets himself safely into Q2. Let's see what Otmir is doing. How is he getting on in the sectors? He's about a 10th off of, well, he's actually right on the pace of Barry in the middle sector. A little bit down in the first sector, but this should be more than enough to get him safely into Q2 on his one attempt. He's given himself one lap to have a go, get himself into Q2. He has another chance if he wants to have it. Round the last corner he comes. Good middle sector from him, should be safely through here. Jarno Wotmere into Q2, comes across the start-finish line and goes into the P1 position. So Jarno Wotmere, brilliant effort, and he only had one lap. That was his first attempt as a 40.9.
How did he do that, Jack? He's well over 1.5 tenths clear of Barry Burrowman in these wet conditions that don't show a lot of signs of Domenico Levesque. Wow, incredible there from the Red Bull, moving his way up into P2 within a tenth of a second of the Flying Dutchman Jarno Wotmere. I thought Jarno's time was good. Levesque out of nowhere with a sensational lap time of his own and knocks Barry Burrowman down to P3. Amazing stuff. We've still got other lap times starting to filter their way through. Dormeyer currently on the bubble of a potential elimination should Presnader or Fitz or Welsh be able to improve. Karaton is there too. Vallejo is also in jeopardy, but we'll have to wait and see. But Domenico Levesque, tremendous stuff indeed. And just look at that, 2 Mercedes in the top 5 as Dario Imulo joins his teammate in the top 5 as well with a 5th place, just outside or just under 0.2 of a second behind Jarno Wotmere. Incredible way to end this Q1 session. It's been absolutely thrilling, and I have to say, what a way to start here, Jack. Certainly France does not disappoint.
But I think Karaton's in danger here. He's backed out of his lap, and if anybody behind improves, he's going to be out of Q1. So this is a big moment here in qualifying here in France. Lewis Welch is going to come across the start-finish line. Does he improve? Yes, he does. And Karaton is knocked out in Q1, and that is massive, massive implications for the championship, of course. Tom Martinez into 6th. Presnader is in, but crucially, Karaton is out.
That is huge news here at this French Grand Prix Q1 session. Karaton out of qualifying here in Q1 after an incredible lap. Jari Fitz moved up as well. Ruben Vallejo has moved up. Dormeyer, I've got to say, Andreas Dormeyer up into P2 as well and goes literally within a tenth of a second of Jarno Wotmere. Incredible stuff here. All these newcomers, all these new Challenger Series drivers, Dormeyer, Levesque, all moving their way up the leaderboards. And what could this mean for this season's championship? Of course, all these new youngsters coming through, the new blood, the new strain of esports drivers looking to hammer home a foundation against some of the best in F1 esports. And certainly great to see the likes of Andreas Dormeyer and Domenico Levesque scrapping at the top end. Both of them ahead of Barry, but 2 Mercedes in the top 5, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what we wanted to see as well. Both of the racing points made it in. So Dylan Warren in and Vallejo also in. So great stuff from Racing Point. They've managed to get both cars in. Both Alpha Tauris, unfortunately, out. Jake Benham and Johanan out. But the big scalp is Karaton. Timon Stuta as well. Big name going out in 19. And Chana Kinshi is also out and the last of these qualifiers today. But Jarno, the only man to break into the 40s on that one, but impressive stuff from Andreas Dormeyer, just 800ths behind Wotmere and Levesque as well, all the way down. You can see how close it was. Look at that. They're all the way down to 15th, was just half a second.
Yeah, just look at that. Jarno Wotmere is your P1 sitter in Q1. And Andreas Dormeyer, P2. Domenico Levesque, P3 with Barry Burrowman, P4. Danny Moreno, the other Mercedes, P5. Dario Imulo in P6. Tom Martinez, P7. Lewis Welch in P8. Nicholas Matteo, P9. Philip Presnader, P10. Jari Fitz, P11. Josh Idawu, P12. Fabrizio Donoso, P13. Dylan Warren, P14. Ruben Vallejo, P15. And the rest, unfortunately, eliminated. But the big story, certainly here in qualifying, Alvaro Karaton out of the session.
And that is big because he has a championship chance. He's 9 points behind Philip Presnader. And Presnader did enough there. He made it in when it counted, did the lap that he needed to do. And he's now got himself into Q2 at the very least, and will start in front of Karaton, which is exactly what he needs to do. Now you can see the conditions carried over from Q1. So, by the looks of it now, this is going to be a crossover point between the wet and the inters, and immediately on the way out of the grid, we have one of the Renaults on their way out. It is now intermediate conditions on the track.
It is. The green tyres are now making their way out onto this circuit as we now move ahead to the session, folks, and instantly out the blocks once again, Fabrizio Donoso. He likes to get out first, doesn't he, Jack?
Absolutely does. Actually, I think he was beaten by a Haas this time. He was. Dormeyer has come out first, actually. I think in this one, so Dormeyer's on a high right now after finishing second in Q1. That was his highest place that he's finished in the qualifying standings. But he's looking good in the wet conditions is the German right now. But we have the three contenders, Burrowman, Moreno, we have Aidu in, we have Otmir in, Preschnader's through, and Tom Martinez made it through as well with a great lap as well. And both Alfa Romeos, I know Jari Fitz was under the radar there, but he did a good job to get into Q2.
He did indeed, and I got to say, a great performance. And it was actually, he was one of the the contributors to Karaton's demise. And certainly it was a real brutal exit there. Karaton just could not find the grip heading into the straight at turn 7. It just seems to be a corner that seems to get the better of him. And we'll have to see how that pays in comparison when we get into the race. Obviously, I expect he'd be hoping for a dry race, and you have to wonder whether maybe he opted for a setup that favoured more a dry track. So we'll have to maybe wait and see as to whether that is the case. And if that is the case, obviously he's going to be without certainly an advantage when it comes to the starting grid. But hopefully, in terms of when we get into the race proper, he'll have a good chance to weave his way up through the field. But there you can see Donoso, who's currently out and about. Also, we got others, including this man, Andreas Dormeyer, fresh from a P2 finish in Q1. And he'll be looking to set the first lap on the board as he makes his way down towards turn 1.
Certainly will indeed. And I've got a feeling, just judging by the weather here, I'm not sure what the drivers have seen, but I've got a feeling this could be inters all the way through and possibly a dry Q3. So wait to see what happens there, but we're going to get an idea of how fast the track is evolving right now. Remember, we were in the 40s in Q1 at the end on the wet tyres, and these will be faster. So we're going to be dipping further, possibly into the 30s right now, but in the dry would be in the 20s. So it shows you how quickly or how much the conditions affect the speed of these cars. But we're getting an idea now. Dormeyer is going to set the benchmark, but everyone's kind of in a train at the moment. No sign of the Mercedes out just yet. They're probably going to leave it late, but Preschnader is out on the circuit right now. He's going to be, I think, breathing a sigh of relief that he made it into Q2, and definitely a sigh of relief that Karaton is out.
Absolutely. It means that there's more spaces for the new ones that are coming through as well. And Dormeyer, who's still currently purple in Sector 1, green in Sector 2, so he did not go the quickest, but we'll have to wait and see what happens at the end of this lap as he now makes his way around. And the rain is starting to dissipate slightly, so we could see more dry conditions heading throughout this session. We'll have to wait and see, folks, as we're now witnessing Dormeyer now coming around this next left here in Sector 3. And this, of course, leading into what will be, I'd imagine, yes, into turn 13. And now into turn 14, the penultimate corner. And that's where the pit entry is, of course, as he now makes his way down towards turn 15. He's actually lost purple in Sector 1, as we now see Dormeyer about to cross the line now and to set the pace for the opening of Q2. And as he does so, what's it going to be for this man as he crosses the line at 140.001? And Donoso pips him. He's a good 1.1 seconds clear.
Yeah, Dormeyer backed out in the last corner. He went and to try and get a slingshot out. But look at that, Preschnader by just 2 thousandths gets in front of Donoso. So it's very close at the moment. But Dormeyer, that wasn't a representative time. He slowed down to the last corner to get a run down the straight to have a goal. This will be his representative time if he doesn't make a mistake throughout. So expect him to go quicker.
Absolutely. Well, at the end of the day, it's still very early days here in Q2. And if the track is to dry up, then obviously we'll expect some quicker times to come through should they want to get onto the slicks. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Iamulo now up into P3, 2.5 tenths of a second back from Philip Preschnader. There's still plenty out and about on track. Lewis Welch, an invalid lap time. Jari Fitz is also out and about, though he's on an outlap. Tom Martinez up into P3, and that parks the Ferrari in Ps 1 and 3. Vallejo up into P4 as he makes his way across the line now, rounding turn 1. And already, Jarno Otmir, different tactic this time. He's straight out on an outlap.
Yeah, he came. He's on his way out immediately now. I wonder, is Moreno going to follow him? It doesn't look like it. Burrowman's also out on track, as is Aidu. So we have our heavy hitters out on the circuit right now. But at the top at the moment, it is super close. There's 600s between the top 3, 2,000s between the top 2, and Preschnader is improving. Everyone's basically improving at the moment. Actually, Donoso, he's down on his time, but Preschnader is up on his time, so we'll see how much of an improvement this is going to be for Philip Preschnader as he comes down the start-finish line. No DRS just yet, but we're approaching that moment right now. Here comes Preschnader. Does he improve? Yes, he does by about a tenth and goes to a 1:38.722. So Preschnader with the advantage, but we have Moreno, Otmir, Burrowman out on the circuit right now. Burrowman's just began his hot lap.
Yeah, he has indeed. He's now out and about, and we've got both Mercedes out as well. Moreno and Otmir going out in tandem, and we'll have to wait and see how it pays off for them, of course. And not forgetting that some of the other drivers now have started to whittle their way through. Donoso's gone quicker in Sector 1. He's knocked about 0.2 of a second off his time as he makes his way now down towards the next chicane. And it's gone green now, so we'll have to wait and see who's now taking it. Domenico Levesque has gone into P1, and well within the 10th of a second mark is Philip Preschnader. So, yeah, a slight improvement there, and the Red Bull looks very racy. Levesque, delighted. Vallejo, Racing Point now up into P1. Amazing to see these times. They're starting to get quicker and quicker. Is the track starting to get grippier here, Jack?
I think it could very well be. It's we can see the clouds are starting to kind of come apart a little bit. It's getting a bit sunnier out there on track at the moment, so we're going to see the break in the clouds maybe towards the end of the session. And we'll wait to see if Vallejo with an excellent effort there in a 38.443, but the track is evolving very, very quickly. More of a dry line forming. Still no sign of the rain letting up just yet, but it is much, much lighter than it was at the start of Q1. So expect the times to get very, very quick right now. Let's see what Burrowman responds with here through the last quarter. He comes, and there's Donoso with a 38.361. But here comes Burrowman. Does he pip them here in France across the start-finish line? He does, but not quite actually. 38.382. It's still advantage Donoso, but just 200ths between them.
Yeah, literally nothing separates them. It's minimal. 200ths of a second is all that separates. And looking further down as well, just look at this. You've got the Arno Otmir out and about as well. And not forgetting Danny Moreno. Otmir fastest in Sector 1. He's gone purple. The Flying Dutchman looking to do just that with 7 minutes left to go here in this qualifying session. Here he is, making his way out of the Mistral chicane down towards what will be the next turn at, well, the next right-hander. He's gone purple Sector 2 as well. Now about to round turn 10. And this Mercedes looking to let fly here as he now begins to round turn 11 and clipping every single curb. This man is on a mission here on these green intermediate tyres now. Coming up towards turn 12. Josh Iwu up into P4, just over 1.5 of a second away from that man, Fabrizio Donoso. Otmir now rounding the next left. This, of course, heading into turn 12. Well, sorry, out of turn 12, 13 into 14, now 15 this time. And now about to come across the line. Purple in the first 2 sectors. Otmir looking to make it 3 as he now comes up across the line. Is it going to be purple across the board? It certainly is. Jarno Otmir, just under 4.5 of a second quicker than Fabrizio Donoso. That is absolutely incredible, Jack.
Really is, and Danny Moreno is all the way down in 9th, so he's lost 0.8 is the deficit between himself and his teammate. So Moreno's got some work to do, and to add insult to injury, he's invalidated this lap as well, so he's not going to be able to improve on this time by. So he's got some work to do. He went faster in sector number 1, and Jarno is already going quicker than he did on his previous attempt, so he's up by just 0.03 of a second, but it's purple again for Jarno Otmir.
Amazing stuff. He is literally a man on a mission. The Dutchman has come here. He is not messing about. He's making his return to PSGL. No messing about at all here at the Paul Ricard circuit. Otmir's only got one thing in mind, and that is victory. He had to lose out to Barry Burrowman at the start of the season, but this time he's going to bring the fight here to the fast Iranian. Of course, a bit of a slip there, heading around the next right-hander, and of course he's gone yellow in Sector 2, so not as quick heading into Sector 2. But we'll have to wait and see, though. It might only only be minimal. You can see there, traction, a little bit of an issue. Aidawu goes up into P2 and currently just over 2.5 tenths of a second away from Jarno Opmeer. Fabrizio Donoso is in behind in P3. Burrowman's there. Dormeyer out to P6 there. Oh, just over half a second away from Jarno Opmeer. It's an amazing scene here. Jarno Opmeer bails into the pit lane. Obviously, that mistake in Sector 2 was too costly, but nevertheless, he can be delighted. P1 currently for the Dutchman.
Yeah, and Moreno's under pressure now because, George, look at that. He's currently out of Q3 at the moment in P11. He's been knocked out, but it's very, very marginal. Less than a tenth will see him improve his position here, and he's got some work to do. Philip Preschner as well is on the bubble in 10th place. He's got to make it in if he wants to bring the fight to Karaton and to Burrowman and the rest behind. So he's got to get himself at least into Q3 to fight for the top 10 positions. But it's still advantage Opmeer at the moment, and he's the only man at the 37s at the moment by about 2. Well, Burrowman gets a bit closer, 38.162, but it is super close here, and this is just exactly what I wanted to see. These three at the top, super close, just a couple of tenths between them, but it's still Jarno Opmeer. He's got a little bit more in his back pocket at the moment.
Yeah, it's the big two in the top 5 of the drivers' standings. Absolutely incredible. Opmeer and Burrowman looking to really bring it home here at France. I think we're going to be in for a real corker of a race if it's like this. I have to say, folks, Burrowman just outside by just under 2.5 tenths of a second. It's going to be so tight heading into the race, folks. But bear in mind, we still got Q3 to acknowledge yet. As you can now see, Burrowman's teammate there on the right-hand side, that's Jari Fitz. Matteo moves up into P5 for Williams, and of course he's got to do the business for Williams, of course, because Alvaro Karaton was out in Q1. That is, of course, is the main story here coming out of that session, but we are now 3 minutes away, squeaky bum time here in Q2, and we're still waiting to see as Moreno is currently out on an outlap. He needs to improve very, very quickly, and Preschner as well. He is also on the bubble and about to cross the line, Jack.
Yeah, he's improving as well, Philip Preschner. This should be enough maybe to see him secure into Q3 across the start-finish line. He goes into 5th. Not the best, of course, for him. He's not quite safe, but he's at least further up. But an improvement of a couple of tenths for the guys behind will see him out. But he is currently P5, and he can go for another lap if he wishes to do so, which he seems to be doing.
Yeah, he certainly does. And there's Jari Fitz there as well. Moreno out and about too. And you can see there Tom Martinez out on track as well. And we'll have to wait and see how Martinez can do. He needs to try and whittle his way out of this bottom 5. And he's been impressive. He's brought together some really, really good performances over the course of the season. Of course, mainly a content creator, but he's still managing to hammer it home like the best of them here in the PSGL PC Championship. And he's a very competitive man. Certainly, we saw some of his best action at Spa, in fact. And many moves at La Source. And there was actually several 3-4 car battles heading around that track. And he's currently gone green in the first 2 sectors. So don't write off Tom Martinez. He could well be within a shout of a Q3 position. We'll have to wait and see as he now rounds the next right-hander, of course, now heading down the stretch. And there you can see ahead of him what looks to be a Mercedes crossing the line. That, of course, will be, I believe, Danny Moreno, as we now see Martinez getting into the top 10, but he is far from safe. Just over 6 tenths of a second away from Jarno Opmeer.
Yeah, big moment there, but I think we're now going to see Preschner go a little bit quicker again. He's gone green in his sectors, and a small improvement will get him in front of Donoso and might just get him safe now in that Ferrari across the start-finish line. He will come, and will he get himself a little bit further up the grid to make sure he gets into Q3? He's actually not able. He goes 900 slower than he did on his previous times. He stays in 5th place, but Moreno is improving. He's in 13th at the moment, but he's got to improve. He's 24.6 in the first sector, which is equal with Jarno in the first sector. So he's on the pace, a couple of hundreds down on Jarno. But if he keeps up this current pace, he will be safe, but he cannot afford to invalidate now.
No, the Spaniard Danny Moreno now heading out the stretch of the, heading out the Mistral chicane now down towards turn 10. And it's going to be so vital that he can get this absolutely right. He's 3 tenths of a second off the pace in Sector 2 on Jarno Opmeer. Now heading into the next right-hander. This, of course, being turn 11. And he's going to be turning back on himself now, heading down towards turn 12. And now we could ride on board with the Mercedes. The Black Arrow, of course, heading around this next left at turn 12 into turn 13. And this one, a slightly more progressive bend, but you want to brake just heading into the corner, just to give you the best access, heading out turn 14, down towards turn 15 now, and very important to get a good getaway. Ruben Vallejo out to P4, just under 0.4 of a second away from Jarno Watmir. Here comes Moreno now, about to cross the line. Is it going to be a case of a double Mercedes entrance into Q3? It's just about, he's just scraped into P10, but he's not safe, Jack. He is not safe.
No, he's absolutely not safe. Tom Martinez is not going to be a factor, but the man who's going to be a factor could be either Jari Fitz or Dario Yamulo, possibly Lewis Welsh as well if he improves. But I tell you what, Jarno Watmir is about to break more hearts. He's gone purple again in the first and second sector. This is going to be an even quicker time from the Dutchman here in France. Here he comes across the start-finish line. It's going to be a 37.70. He hammers it home once again. Brilliant job by him, and that is half a second clear of Barry Burrowman.
Yeah, that is absolutely incredible, folks. Jarno Watmir is definitely here to fight for the top end, fight for P1. Burrowman currently 0.4 down, according to our timing sheets, in P2. Idawu in P3. But the big story here is, of course, that obviously the fact that Danny Moreno, who's currently not able to go fast here on a time, Lewis Welch does not manage to get out of the bottom 10, or get into the top 10. As we now see Dario Mulo come across the line. Can he break into the top 10? No, he cannot. So Moreno might have his bacon saved here.
He is safe. Can confirm it. Danny Moreno is safe. He makes it in to Q3 by the skin of his teeth, and he'll be happy with that at the very least. Tom Martinez very nearly made it in P11 for Tom, which is actually not a bad place to start if it were a dry qualifying. However, because of the wet conditions, George, everyone's got free choice of tyre.
They certainly do. So it's going to mean a real intense battle at the top end. Jarno Watmir takes P1 yet again. It's 2 from 2 in qualifying so far. Barry Burrowman in P2. Josh Idawu P3. Ruben Vallejo, great performance in P4. Fabrizio Donoso P5. Philip Prejnader P6. Nicholas Matteo P7. Domenico Levesque P8. Andreas Dormeyer P9. Danny Moreno just scraping into P10 there. Tom Martinez, Lewis Welch, Dario Yamulo, Jari Fitz, and Dylan Warren all out of qualifying, folks. But what an event we got teed up now for Q3. You've got 2 Mercedes cars. Barry Burrowman there featured as well. Fabrizio Donoso feels right at home at this French circuit. It certainly is. It's going to wind up to be a very fascinating Q3, and still the rain is pouring, Jack.
Yeah, looks like it, and this is going to be interesting for the drivers now. They've got their sighter laps in. But how long is the rain going to clear off, or is it going to stay this way? Is the big question. So we'll obviously know if the drivers all rush out to try and get a lap in within the next minute or so. But they don't seem to be just rushing out on the circuit just yet. So it seems that we're going to have these conditions possibly until the end of Q3. So I think it's the first time we've had all 3 sessions wet this season. And we have now, I think, possibly Nicholas Matteo, I think, is going to be the first man to take to the track in Q3. So good stuff from him. He's the lone Williams driver that's made it this far. Alvaro Karaton is going to start in 17th on the grid, which is the lowest he has started in this championship. But no, it's actually Dormeyer who's come out on the track, and believe it or not, he's on the slicks.
Yeah, he's on the slick tyres, folks, so it looks like he certainly wouldn't waste them for no reason. So they are anticipating a dry session here today. So obviously we'll wait and see what Dormeyer can post on the soft tyres as they now round the next right-hander, of course. It's going to be very interesting, to say the least, how he's going to cope at this early stage. Still the rain droplets falling here at the Paul Ricard circuit, and it's going to certainly be a case of managing the car around this track at this stage. Obviously with a little bit of water still entering the surface, you can see there puddles in the background. It's still going to be reasonably slick out there, so they've got to be very careful where they position the car. Obviously make sure that they take the necessary lines, and the Haas car certainly will need to get off to a cracking start. But certainly, given the pedigree that Dormeyer has shown in the first 2 qualifying sessions, he is not without a chance here, Jack.
No, he's not. And the reason they're all out on soft tires, because the key point is DRS is now enabled. So that is the reason that they're out on the soft tires. The rain may be coming down, but it is drying out on the track right now, and it is dry enough for the DRS to be on. So it's going to be a dry qualifying. It might not be the fastest that we're going to see the track. It could dry up even more towards the end of the session, but we have got a dry end to Q3, or to the qualifying session at the very least. So Dormeyer is now going to set the first time on the dry tyres today. We've had wets, we've had intermediates, and now we have the dry. So we've had a session on each compound of tyre.
We certainly have, as we know, witnessing Dormeyer heading down towards turn 1 and braking and shifting down the gears into 4th. Now heading up to 5th now on the outset, down the stretch, leading down towards turns 3 and 4. And be interesting to see how he clings onto the corners and hitting the apex, certainly on these soft tyres in these still very damp and drizzly conditions here at the Paul Ricard circuit here in France. And we'll have to wait and see whether he can notch himself on the top spot. Of course, takes purple in Sector 1 as expected. Obviously, given the fact he's the first car out on a fast lap, as he now makes his way down the stretch now between turns 7 and 8, heading down towards the Mistral chicane. And naturally wants to try and get his best access here. Takes a lot of the curb there on the inset, brakes just before the 50 and hammers home into that chicane indeed. A very, very loose chicane. It's not a tight one. You can just literally fling the car through. Naturally, you see cars going there at full pelt, certainly in dry conditions. And it certainly makes for some great racing, certainly certainly in a race format, that's for sure. As we're now witnessing Dormeyer come round this next right-hander now. And this being turn 11, and goes out quite wide there, but it gets a nice bit of access right back through. Now that could be an invalidation, and it certainly is an invalidation. So Dormeyer invalidates his lap here on his first flying lap, that is, and that's not ideal. Certainly on a pair of soft tyres.
Yeah, it's not. He's going to come straight back into the pit lane now. After that, he just got turn 11 all wrong. Went in a bit too quick, and the grip just wasn't there for him. So he had to sort himself out pretty quickly on the way through. But no such problem for Josh Idowu at the moment. He's on a fast lap, but the first time is actually going to be for Nicholas Matteo. He's going to set the benchmark here in France in Q3. Let's see the difference in the time. He comes across the start finish. It's a 33.787, which is the time, but is immediately beaten by his Spaniard counterpart, 33.4 for Ruben Vallejo. But Josh Idowu now, he's going to come across the start finish line and probably set the benchmark at the top of the standings. Here he comes, 32.725. There's your benchmark.
That is absolutely superb by Welshman Josh Idowu, just over or just under 0.7 of a second ahead of Ruben Vallejo. So an excellent display, certainly from the McLaren Shadow driver. And we'll have to wait and see what can happen, certainly for this youngster. He's been absolutely superb in recent weeks, currently lying P3 in the Drivers' Championship. And only 12 points away from Philip Presneder in that Drivers' Championship. So points are obviously a major factor now in this Paul Ricard race, with plenty of contenders in the Drivers' Championship, all in this Q3 session, including the likes of Jarno Watmere, Barry Burrowman on their return, and of course these other names, of course the likes of Presneder, and of course Josh Idowu as well. Still plenty of big names in this session. And you can now see Danny Moreno, who's currently out on a lap 2. He's gone green in Sector 1, of course, and now heading out of Sector 2 very shortly into Sector 3. He's making his way down towards turn 10 out of the long straight. He's gone purple, in fact, in Sector 2. And let's see what this man can post. Of course, the Spaniard Danny Moreno, who is ever relentless, has been a very classy sort, certainly a great pickup by the Mercedes team, and an exciting prospect heading into another F1 esports season. And makes his way now into Sector 3 proper, where he'll face a very tight selection of corners and a weaving section of bends. Making his way now through the next left now. And very shortly into the next right at turn 15. Needs a nice exit now. Heading down the stretch. The paddock on the right-hand side. DRS will open up for him here. Comes up across the line. Danny Moreno, what can the machine post here today? Across the line. P1 with a 1:30.492. And quite possibly his best time so far in qualifying. So good to see the Spaniard doing well. And as I say that,
immediately smashed out of the park by 0.7 of a second by Jarno Watmere. But here comes Barry Burrowman. Let's see how tight they are now. Come across the start finish line for Barry. He goes across and he actually invalidated his time, but he was actually quicker than Jarno by just 0.5 of a second. It was a 29.74, the invalidation for Barry Burrowman, but he is now going to have to come back in and get a new set of tyres on. But Domenico Levesque, he's going well today, isn't he? Only 100th off of actually less than 100th. He's 9,000th off the back of Otmere. Levesque is on a great run today.
Oh, he's loving it. He's just a 100th off Otmere. That is incredible form. And look further down as well. Dormeyer yet to leave. Burrowman on an outlap once again, or on a new fast lap, because of course he invalidated his last one. Fabrizio Donoso still yet to field his first valid lap time. And Levesque, he's actually gone purple in Sector 1, Jack. So this Red Bull is also out there looking. And he smells blood right now. Heading down into the Mistral chicane. And I've got to say, let's see what this youngster can do, because I have to say, very impressive so far. And this Red Bull can tickle the top end. Can they bring the fight to the Mercedes here at PSGL? That is the big question. Red Bull really need an upturn in their fortunes. P8 in the constructors' standings right now. And, of course, that's not a zone where Christian Horner likes to park his cars, as we're now witnessing Levesque round the next right-hander now. And as he does so, looking ever prominent. P2 at the moment. Sensational stuff. And over 0.6 of a second quicker than Danny Moreno on that last lap as well. So as he makes his way around the next right, he's actually gone purple in sector 2 now as well. The track is drying up in an extraordinary rate right now, and he actually dives into the pit lane. So he's not going to set that time. He's going to come in because there's only 4 minutes remaining. One last gasp on a fresh set of boots.
Yeah, this track is evolving so quickly. So this is going to be whoever gets the last lap time and is going to benefit the most. But Levesque was about to go a second quicker than Jarno Watmere on that time alone. He was 0.6 up in the middle sector, 0.4 up in the first sector. So these guys are going to bolt on a fresh set of tyres and go for it now. But that is a very interesting grid if it were to stay like that. Jarno on pole, Levesque second, Moreno third, and Barry in 10th with no times. He's left it. He's made it life hard for himself in 10th place because he invalidated his time, but that time would have been enough for pole.
Well, I have to say, heartbreaking stuff indeed, but obviously these guys now have a chance now with only minutes remaining, folks. We got literally a last gasp shootout now to decide who starts on pole position for the French Grand Prix here at the Paul Ricard circuit. I hope you've all turned up here in your abundance to look forward to a great race, because I think we've got just that in the offing here. And as you can see, all the cars waiting in the garage, reviewing their setups, reviewing the tyre choices, waiting for the opportune moment to leave the garage. They're all going to leave it to last minute. We can hear engines running in the Mercedes garage, and it looks like we could be seeing some activity out of Jarno Watmere's pit bay, as well as Danny Moreno, both Mercedes leaving at the same time. It's going to be an incredible ending to this qualifying session. There's Watmere's car. Dario Imulo is coming out as well. Not forgetting the likes of Andreas Dormeyer, I think, has left his bay. Out goes Danny Moreno. It's all happening here in the final 2.5 minutes of qualifying, with Presnader setting the pace.
Yeah, Presnader on his way out. You've got Barry on his way out behind as well. You've got Levesque just behind him. Then there's Otmere, and Danny's on his way down the pit lane at the moment, and he comes out of his pit box now. So we're going to have everyone out on the circuit for a 10-car shootout for pole. Anyone could take it because of how quickly this track is evolving. So they're going to have, when they come across the line, about one attempt. This is going to be their only attempt that they will get, unless they save up their ERS enough to go for a second attempt. But you don't want to do that because you want to save the tyres in case you need them in the race. But they have got a free choice of tyre for the race starts. So if they've saved an extra set, then they can use these twice. But it could be a case that they just want to look after them and save them so they don't have to use a used set of tyres in the race that are 2 laps old. It could make all the difference in qualifying, but it is going to be a very close battle. But it is going to be Presnader who's going to get over the line first to set his time, but everyone else kind of stacking up and just getting behind each other here. They want to try and get a bit of a slipstream here. You've got the 2 Mercedes next to each other, Levesque in between himself and Barry, but this is going to be a fascinating end to qualifying.
It certainly will be. There's only a minute left here in Q3, folks, and I hope you've got your predictions ready in the chat as to who you think's going to get pole. There's literally every car, every man and his dog out on track right now, here with only seconds remaining in this session. And as we now witness, Philip Presnader rounding the final corner now, about to cross the line to start his flying lap. And certainly a lot of pressure now on the Slovakian as he makes his way down towards turn 1, wants to cut in just at the 50. Just look at how dry the track is now, far greater than what it was before. Coming down now towards the next chicane at turns 3 and 4, and never has it been more important for Presnader to whittle that Ferrari up on the top end. Championship leader, invalid lap time, Jack, invalid lap time. Presnader will not improve.
No, he won't. That's going to be it. And it was a shame because he set the fastest Sector 1 of anybody on that time by. So he's not going to start on pole position. It's going to be a case of who can start, who's going to get in front of him. Here comes Jarno Watmere. He's the next man who's going to try and whittle that down to the bottom. Here we go across the sector splits right now. And he is flying 1.1 seconds quicker than he was on his previous attempt, the fastest Sector 1. But that is stolen by Danny Moreno by just a couple of hundredths right now. It is very, very close across the board. So we're going to wait to see who's actually going to get it as they come across the start finish line this time by. But is Jarno in the box seat at the moment? But a man who cannot afford to invalidate at the moment is Barry Burrowman. He's coming through Sector 2 into Sector 3 at the moment, and he cannot afford to get this lap invalidated. 21.3 in the first sector, which is a tenth quicker than Jarno Watmere at the moment. 26.7 in the middle sector. That is just marginally quicker than Jarno Watmere. This is going to be tighter than ever as they come through the last few corners. Here comes Burrowman. Can he get himself back on pole here in PSGL on his return? Round the last corner in the Alfa Romeo. DRS will open for the Iranian. Here he comes down the start finish line. It's going to be Burrowman on pole. The answer is yes by 900ths of a second. But here comes Jarno Watmere. Has he done enough to get himself on pole position here as he comes across the start finish line? He has done it. Yes, he has by a tenth of a second. It's Jarno Watmere with Danny Moreno in third. Burrowman is second, and we wait now for a few more. We wait for Matteo and Josh Idawu. Dormeyer goes into fifth place. Here comes Matteo. Where does he go? He goes from ninth up to sixth. Idawu didn't quite see where he went across the start finish line right there, but wow, Watmere does it by 900ths ahead of Burrowman, ahead of Moreno, and Levesque with a great effort in fourth place. But it's advantage Watmere, but that was brilliant.
Absolutely incredible scenes. Jarno Watmere makes it 3 from 3. Q1, Q2, Q3, P1 across the board. Amazing stuff. He is your pole sitter for the start of the French Grand Prix. Barry Burrowman alongside him, P2. Danny Moreno, P3. Josh Idawu, P4. Domenico Levesque, P5. P6 for Andreas Dormeyer. Nicholas Matteo, P7. Philip Presnader, our championship leader, P8. Ruben Vallejo, P9. Fabrizio Donoso, no time set here in Q3. He will start from P10, but what a way to go into a race. Barry Burrowman alongside Jarno Watmere, who's on pole. Moreno sitting behind them. It's a Mercedes and Alfa Romeo sandwich.
It really isn't. We know Watmere would be delighted with that when he wanted to get one over on Barry Burrowman, because we know how tight that fight was in Spa between the both of them. And it was advantage Barry at that stage. But now Watmere's got it by just 900ths of a second. It's a full dry session as well here in France. Great to see. And we have, of course, free choice of tyres for all the drivers across the board here. So we'll see what they're going to opt for. Moreno just a tenth of a second behind as well. And Josh Idawu, he's right in there. This is a golden opportunity for Josh Idawu. Remember, he's in the championship fight. He's 12 points behind the championship leader, Philip Presnader, but only a couple of points behind Alvaro Karaton. And Karaton, remember, starts from 17th today.
Yeah, here at PSGL, folks, Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. It is just that. It is the premier of league racing. You're about to see the best of the best hammering it home here at the French Grand Prix, the Paul Ricard circuit that has been famed for so many incredible battles in the past. We're now going to be watching possibly one of the greatest that we've ever seen in league racing. It's going to be a case of Jarno v Barry v Danny Moreno, as well as Josh Idawu. Plenty of the best in sim racing and esports. You are within, well, you're certainly going to have a real treat and a feast for your eyes, that's for sure, as we're now about to head out for the formation lap. But amazing stuff indeed. If you haven't done so already, folks, please leave a subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a like as well to the stream as well. I also want to see your predictions for this race. Please hammer the chat. We will read them out as we go through, as the car's now about to make their way out onto the track. Jack, seriously, we haven't had a moment like this, Jack, in a long time.
No, this is really exciting. What we're witnessing right now is a preview of F1 esports this season. So, Watmere, Burrowman, Moreno, Idawu, great stuff to see. Now, interestingly enough, right, we have the Mercs splitting the strategy. So everyone, apart from two drivers, have opted for the hard compound tire. Moreno's on the medium, as is Tom Martinez in P11. But everybody's on the hard tires. Moreno's going for the aggressive strategy, starting on the mediums, needs to make up positions early on. But Merc are opting for different strategies for both drivers. Watmere going long, Moreno going aggressive.
Well, I got to say, that really will, it's going to certainly cause a bit of a a bit of a twist in the offing. They're out on the formation lap now. As you can see, the tyres are on the left-hand side. Otmir on hards, Burrowman on hards, Moreno on mediums, as you quite rightly say. Jack Idawu on hards too. And then the only other man on mediums is Tom Martinez. Let's have a little look here at the comments here in the comment chat. Please fling them in, folks, before we hit the grid. As you can see there, Marion, apologies if I get that wrong. Yarno over Barry. Daniel Iliev, is there a link for the standings? There certainly is. Rebecca Hazelwood, a Tom Martinez win. That is what she's hoping for. George Domleo, sorry if I get that wrong. Tom is GOAT. Aero F1 is going for the Flying Dutchman. Please leave them in, folks. Leave your comments in the live chat. I want to hear from you. It's going to be a grandiose race. And one last prediction I want to hear from as well. Jack Canan, who are you going for?
No idea, because I cursed Alvaro Karaton. So I'm not going to say anything. And I'm interestingly already seeing a little bit of a game going on here. Burrowman leaving a big old gap back to Otmir, who lines up on the front row of the grid, just giving that little bit of extra tyre temp that could make all the difference. But Moreno should get the better start here on the medium compound tyre. But I have absolutely no predictions, because it always goes wrong for whoever I say.
Yeah, well, Brandon's gone for a Merc 1-2, Giano and Danny. Trap Formula's going for a Danny Moreno win. It's going to be an incredible race here, folks. Please stay with us for the start of this French Grand Prix. Like I said, leave a like and subscribe. It's going to be a historic event here at PSGL. Let's see how they line up at the end of this race. Third light, fourth light, the fifth light! And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. And just look at that. Danny Moreno. Better off the line there. Tries to drag into the slipstream of Yarno Otmir. 2 Mercedes ahead of Barry Burrowman, though. Sensational stuff there. Barry relegated down to P3. Did not get off the line well at all. Further back as well, we have some drama with Levesque and Matteo falling in behind as well. The Williams looking to coax it on the inside and behind Andreas Dormeyer. There too. Donoso looking to try and flank the outside heading into the next right. But the key activity is Yarno Otmir leads the French Grand Prix. Danny Moreno in second place, clocking his teammates, and Otmir is letting him go. He's on the medium tyres. He's going for glory.
I told you to watch out for that start. What a start from Moreno. He left Barry Burrowman standing on the line right there, and Otmir not fighting him. They're letting him through on the alternate strategy, and Moreno can try and get away right now. He's got to get away, but they got in front of Burrowman, which is the key point in their fight with him right now. In the background, there was contact between some of the racing points right there. I think Vallejo's got a broken wing, as Dylan Warren's going to go for it on his teammate through turn 11. Goes for the inside line move, and does he get it done? They're going side by side, the racing points, and he does get in front. Yamulo follows him through, so Vallejo has got some damage on the right hand side of the wing, so that is going to hurt him in this one. But around goes Donoso. No, how is he held on to that one right now on those hard tires? Loses the rear end and loses 2 positions, but that was a hell of a save from the Chilean through there and through, trying at least as Yamulo side by side as they come to the last corner. But that should be a Donoso's corner on the way out right there. But Donoso, scary moment as he came through that first corner. But Moreno, I told you those medium tyres would be great off the line, and he certainly made me look smart.
Yeah, Dylan Warren actually, I think he actually let Fabrizio through there, heading into this now, this second lap. Oh, a little bit of a moment there from Dario Imulo, and that cost him a little bit of time. In comes what looks to be Jake Benham now, moving his way up through the field. A sensational start from Jakey B, who now makes his way through the field up into what will be P13 as they round the next round of the AlphaTauri scouting. In behind, Yari Fitz trying to land a blow here on Thyman Shooter. They're wheel to wheel currently for that position further back. Nothing separates them as they're now making their way down towards or through the Mistral Straight. Thyman Shooter now locked in horns here with certainly Yari Fitz, who tries to dodge the slipstream, does so indeed. But what an exceptional start. And looking further up as well, Josh Idawu clocking every move the front runners make. It's exactly as we pictured, Jack. Slipstream, DRS trains right through the field. The strategy will surely decide the ending of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, and the disappointing moment after the right now, Alvaro Karaton has made absolutely no ground. He's still in 18th place. He's stuck in the train, which is exactly the danger with these that we've got going on right now. But at the front, it's Moreno still at the helm of the field right now. DRS will be enabled on this lap, so he's not quite got out of there, but Otmir, is he out of DRS? He's nearly broken DRS on Barry Burrowman, and Barry's going to have to work to get back in there right now because he will be vulnerable to Josh Idawu if he does not get away from him. And you can see right now the Mercedes are working together big time right now. They're double teaming on the Alfa Romeo behind, and they are now working to try and get away from that Alfa Romeo, and they're succeeding in that. And Burrowman's going to be in big trouble now because he's got Idawu behind him.
He certainly has. Burrowman currently, of course, in P3, and he's got Josh Idawu, the relentless Welshman, currently in P4. Amazing stuff indeed. And Philip Prejnader starting to gain on Andreas Dormeyer as well. But as we look further up, Moreno quite rightly has broken the second gap indeed, and Otmir now a second clear at least, or 1.3 seconds clear of Barry Burrowman. He is out of the DRS range. That is going to be so crucial leading into the last stages of this Grand Prix. Barry Burrowman is going to be at the mercy here of the Flying Dutchman. He needs to start hammering home, hitting the throttle, late braking into the corners in order to try and maximise his speed, because currently the way things are sat right now, he's going to be at the mercy of Josh Idawu with the DRS. It's going to be so crucial. This is absolutely out of this world. Looking further down, still Karaton, still in P18. He just can't get out of that position, Jack. That qualifying session really hampered him.
Yeah, and that's exactly why you don't want to end up down the order, because when you're in the DRS train like this, there's no way out of it, and Karaton is in big trouble right now. But the man who's in even bigger trouble is Barry Burrowman, because Idawu is all over him through the last sector right now. He's not going to have enough to get alongside him into turn one, but Burrowman is firmly out there, 1.4 seconds behind Otmir right now. But it seems like the Mercedes are staying with each other right now. Moreno is trying to get away and use the mediums to the best of their ability, but he can't do that because he's got Otmir behind him. He's actually towing him along a little bit right now in the DRS, which is helping him quite a lot. But Burrowman's now formed a train of Idawu, Levesque, Matteo, Dormeyer still in there, Prejnader's in there too, which is big for him, of course. But Idawu now, he needs an exit, needs to try and get past Burrowman as quickly as he can if he's got the pace to do so. He's in overtake mode, just a little flick of it right there, but doesn't seem to be wanting to go for the overtake just yet. He's happy to sit behind and save his DRS. Behind that Alfa Romeo, look at the slipstream. He gets down into the chicane, not able to do it this time, but Burrowman's going to be driving in the mirrors now.
He certainly will be. He'll be looking right through the rear view mirror, because here comes Josh Idawu out to the Mistral chicane now, down the stretch, heading down towards turn 10. And this McLaren, ever relentless. Josh Idawu looking to get close here at the rear end of that Alfa Romeo. Barry Burrowman, look how close they are now, separated by a mere 0.3 of a second. Literally nothing here at the Paul Ricard circuit as they come into sector 3. Just look at this. Idawu teeing up a potential overtake here on Barry Burrowman. The Iranian is at the mercy of this Welshman. Otmir now clear by well over 2 seconds, nearly enough now. Moreno still clear by half a second, but still, that's not going to be enough to break the Dutchman. Jarno Otmir on hard tyres knows that the longer this goes on, the better for him. As we're now seeing, still Josh Idawu trying to lay down the smackdown upon Barry Burrowman as they come into turn 1 now. DRS opened up for Idawu. Surely this will tee up an opportunity heading down the Mistral Straight.
Absolutely it will. I'm just keeping an eye on the battery charges of Burrowman and Idawu, and Burrowman has got nothing in the tank. He's using it all up to try and stay in front of Idawu, but that won't last too much longer. It's a half charge, 50% in the battery for Idawu, so he's got a lot in the tank that he can use, but Burrowman's basically running on empty right now to try and stay in front. But now this is it for Idawu. He's using his overtake. Here he comes on Barry Burrowman down towards the Mistral chicane, moves to the inside line of the Iranian, and the Iranian can do nothing about this one into the braking zone for the chicane. Idawu gets him, and there's nothing that Barry Burrowman could do about that. Didn't have the battery charge to answer, and now Idawu moves into third, and now he's got to try and break away from Burrowman, but Burrowman is struggling in this early phase, ganged up on by the Mercedes, and Idawu gets him now, and this is a big race for Idawu because Prejnader is down in 8th, and Karaton all the way down in 18th place, so this could be a potential swing in the championship in favour of Idawu.
Yeah, and big points in the offing here for Mercedes too in the constructors' standings. Remember, they're in P4 of the championship, only as things stand 26 points back off the leaders. All it will take is these positions, and they will land a severe blow to Alfa Romeo's hopes of adding more points on top of their championship tally. Barry Burrowman not having his ideal race at all. He's being forced to push. He's being forced to prod. The RS suffering here in the initial few laps. He's only 6 laps in, and Domenico Levesque is eyeing it up like a tasty chicken leg right now as they make their way through the early sector. Still on top, Idawu in P3. Barry Burrowman starting to hightail it down lower. 0.6 of a second is all that separates him and Levesque. He could be at the mercy of the Red Bull here, Jack.
He certainly could, but now Burrowman's got an opportunity to save some ERS behind Idaho. We know he's got the pace to stick with Josh right now, so now is his opportunity to save up some of that charge, but he may have to use a bit of it to stay in front of Levesque, who's got loads of ERS. He's got 60% charge in the battery that he can use to try and get past Barry Burrowman, but he's not going to do that just yet. Burrowman's still with the DRS in this one, but this is almost like real F1, isn't it, George? Because everyone else is in a big long train and the Mercedes are just gone.
They certainly are. It's a very typical Mercedes performance here. They're loving life up at the top end and currently covering the top 2 placings. But Idaho, to be fair, to his credit, still maintaining a reasonable gap to Barry Burrowman despite not having DRS, so credit to the Welshman. He is doing exceptionally well. Burrowman now at the mercy of Levesque, who's crawled it back in 0.2 of a second. So the Red Bull on a flyer here as they enter Sector 3 proper, and you can see they're in behind as well, bringing into play Nicholas Matteo, who has had a reasonable race so far, not forgetting Andreas Dormeyer, who was incredibly quick in qualifying and seemed to handle the wet weather exceptionally well, as we're now witnessing Levesque now getting closer and closer all the time. Look at this. Nyon separated by a fly's eyelash once again as they come down towards turn 1. Lap 7 of 27. Plenty of time remaining, folks. 20 laps in the offing, and certainly already we've seen some tremendous action. Probably action we didn't expect to see, Jack.
No, absolutely. And already we're on lap number 7 of 27, so plenty of time has passed by already in this race, and free choice of tyres for everybody has made them now all end up on the same strategy. So there's only really going to be 2 people who are going to pit early that we know that are going to pit early. That's Tom Martinez and Danny Moreno are going to have to pit first. But the rest of them, it's going to be basically who's going to blink first, because there could be a big chunk of positions gained in the pit stops, and everybody in that long train is on exactly the same strategy, from 3rd all the way down to 19th are all of the same strategy.
Unreal. And I have to say, an even playing field, and still Karaton down in P18, Chanakinchi in behind him in P19. Looking further up though, and Otmir clear by 3.2 seconds from Josh Idaho. Unreal stuff from the Dutchman, and the Mercedes team enjoying it. Just look at them there, the 2 Mercedes on their own, pretty much racing their own race. And I have to say, it's been an exceptional performance from them. They pretty much planned this to perfection. It's worked out so well, but you're quite right. Moreno is going to have to box first, and it'd be interesting to see how that dynamic is going to affect this race. I mean, certainly, obviously, Otmir going for the more conventional strategy, starting on the hards, and then seeing what he goes on to later on. We'll have to wait and see, but still currently lined up in P2, Jarno Otmir. P3, Josh Idaho. Now that gap is still springing outwards into the realms of 3 seconds. Barry Burrowman is currently in behind Idaho as well, being separated by around 6/10. And there, of course, you can also see Domenico Levesque, who's driving an exceptional race. And I think this is a new side of Domenico Levesque that we haven't quite seen this season, Jack. He's been absolutely extraordinary this race.
No, he had a great run in Monza. Of course, both the Italians had a good run, but this is the strongest we've seen Levesque go, so it's great to see him up there as well as Dormeyer. Dormeyer is going very well in the Haas today. And just to point out as well, the biggest mover, according to the telemetry, Dylan Warren, up 4 places, already on the cusp of the points. And he's actually now chasing after Tom Martinez, who's on an alternate strategy. So a good recovery once again. He's the lone racing point. Vallejo retiring on lap number 1 but with wing damage. So that's unfortunate for him. So we still have 19 cars running. Two cars out front by 2.8 seconds clear of everybody else. But the rest of the entire field is all in one big, long DRS train led by Josh Idaho.
Certainly is. And there's a good crew of them now. A big, long string. And there you can see Burrowman getting so close at this moment in time, just sat behind Josh Idaho, and quite rightly looking to charge that ERS that, of course, has failed him obviously in the early few laps, and effectively he's having to work extra hard in order to try and gain it back, as we're now witnessing them bomb down the stretch now. Barry Burrowman just under 7.5 of a second, now whittling his way down to 6/10. They break into turn 1, and there's Domenico Levesque equally close in approximately 0.3 of a second back. So we got a nice long train here, pretty much equal deltas between all of them at this moment in time. Lap 9 of 27 here, folks, here at the Paul Ricard circuit. It's been absolutely unrelenting as we now look ahead now. The 2 Mercedes so far away clear as we're now seeing them head down the Mistral straight. Just look at that gap, Jack.
Yeah, they're just having a relaxing drive out there by the looks of it. Moreno's not pushing, and you can see that. Otmir is just hanging in the DRS, and they both have equal levels of ERS, and that's something we've noticed as well. Moreno is very, very good at looking after the ERS, so he's just driving his own pace at the moment, not wearing out the tires. Otmir is not going to try anything too untoward to try and pass him. So they're just going to work together. Aidu is driving in the mirrors at the moment, trying to keep Burrowman behind him. But Burrowman's also in danger at the moment because he's on 2 warnings and is in danger of picking up a 3-second penalty already in this race. That just shows you how hard he was pushing earlier on to keep himself in front. But you can see Levesque is just all over him behind. Got loads of ERS to use, 70% charge in the battery for Levesque. So this is not the return of dreams for Barry Burrowman that he would have wanted, but it's certainly something competitive. It's definitely competitive here at PSGL, and he's adapting to that new rig at the same time as he has been off for nearly 4 or 5 weeks. So he's getting himself back in the driver's seat and chasing after Josh Aidu for P3 at the moment, but 3 seconds clear now. The Mercedes out front, lap 10 of 27. Otmir getting a little bit closer to Moreno each time, but I don't think Otmir is actually going to try to pass him until Moreno comes into the pit lane.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a case of waiting. I think he knows that Moreno is going to have to box, so why risk it? Otmir can literally just stay behind him, utilise the DRS, save his ERS at the same time. It's just the perfect strategy for the Flying Dutchman right now. And there you can see at this moment in time, Josh Aidu in P3, still gaining a little bit of delta on Barry Burrowman, who's currently in P4 in behind him there. And I have to say, it looks to me that Josh Aidu is finding this a little bit more comfortable than what Burrowman is right now. Levesque still in the midst. Burrowman getting closer though to Aidu, as you can now see. I think he got a little bit of a better exit heading into the Mistral chicane as they now make their way down through towards turn 10. Just look at a string of cars there in the back. In the rear view mirror you could see there Philip Presnader, and of course the other Ferrari of Tom Martinez, who's the other man on the medium tyres, as they now round turn 11. And there you can see Barry Burrowman there trying to gain as much as he can on Josh Aidu. Nothing separating them, currently half a second is the minimal time gap, but just look at Levesque in the midst as well. Not forgetting Nicholas Matteo, who is just behind, as well as Andreas Dormeyer, and as well as Philip Presnader. Lewis Welch as well, the famed pad player, down in P9, currently occupying a 4/10 gap in between him and Presnader, but Martinez there too, stalking Lewis Welch too, and I'd imagine he'll be looking to strike just as much.
Certainly will, and they come across to begin lap number 11 of 27. And keep an eye on those tyres from Moreno, and they are starting to go off. You can see the blister on the left-hand side of the tyre, and you can see now Otmir's nearly got a full battery in that ERS, so he may be lining up Moreno to go past him. They're obviously in communication with each other, so if there will be a swap for position, they will be in cohorts with that one as they come down the back straight. Still no move on just yet for any of those, but I've got a feeling Burrowman is saving up for an attack here. He's got half his ERS left, and Aidu's got nothing, so it basically roles reverse from earlier on. Aidu's got nothing left. Burrowman's got plenty to attack, so expect some battling to happen here. And Burrowman just using the ERS to get back in the DRS of Aidu that time. But Burrowman is saving up, ready to attack Aidu once again.
Well, he might get his chance, certainly, if Aidu's ERS levels are looking that painful at the moment. And Burrowman there just patiently waiting. He wants to save as much as he can. He's got a string of cars in behind him. He's in P4, still a podium up for grabs at least here for Barry Burrowman. And anything can happen in racing, of course. These Mercedes drivers, of course, given plenty of free time and space to just run their own race. But at the same time, you've got to wonder, as we now witness them head down the home stretch there, you can see Moreno and Otmir together coming down towards turn 1, and very little separates them. Maybe Otmir can go for a move heading into turn 1 this time. No, just utilise the DRS. No move just yet. He's going to be patient, looking for the back as well. Still maintaining the P4 position is Barry Burrowman, but a slight lock-up there I saw there from Josh Aidu. That could easily put a spoke in the works, certainly, and you don't want to be wearing too much tyre wear on those hard tyres, because they're going to have to go a longer distance. In mind as well, Domenico Levesque being stalked by Nicholas Matteo, who's managed to gain a little bit of time off Andreas Dormeyer, and is now closing on the Red Bull, as we're now witnessing Josh Aidu, and they are changing the lead as far as we can see. You're quite right, Jack. Otmir up into P1.
Yeah, no overtake used by Otmir or Moreno there. No defence put up, so that was clearly a pre-orchestrated move. Burrowman on Idaho, he's gone for it as well into the chicane. So Burrowman moves up into third. Idaho is now, can he try and come back at him on the exit of the Mistral chicane? I don't think he's going to try it. No, he's not in the overtake mode just yet. So Burrowman swaps back into third. The Mercedes swap around. So Moreno, I feel, could be heading into pit lane very shortly if that's the case. And those hard tyres now beginning to blister as well. So the mediums will not be in good shape at the most. Mateo versus Levesque. They're going to go side by side through turn 11. Mateo gets it done, but Levesque comes back at him up the inside of the next corner. Mateo runs out wide, off onto the curb on the outside line. Levesque back to the inside again. Mateo is going to try go all around the outside. Can he do it? He's still in there into the last corner, gets very close to the back of Idaho, but Mateo shoves him out wide. Levesque still there on the outside lines. They come down towards turn number 1 across the start finish line. Levesque gets back in front with a boost of overtake. That was fantastic between the both of them. Couple of guys in pit lane. We have Dylan Warren, Preschnader, Tom Martinez, and Time and Shooter. So early stops for the hard runners onto the medium tyres.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant racing there from Nicholas Matteo. And of course, Domenico Levesque, who managed to hang on despite the relentless abuse and attack there from Nicholas Matteo as Levesque gets a bit close to the front wing there of Nicholas Matteo's car. Andreas Stormeyer being brought right back into this as well as they come around the next left. Idaho losing a lot of time here. Burrowman able to levy himself at least 8.5 tenths of a second ahead as Jari Fitz picks up a 3-second time penalty. Further back there you can see Levesque, and there you can see Matteo as well. Once again joining the fray, a lockup from Levesque into the Mistral chicane. Another opportunity at hand here, potentially for Nicholas Matteo as they make their way down towards turn 10. He has not got much closer, but he's now waiting in the midst for a potential move. Idaho currently at risk now as well. Remember, he's used up a lot of that ERS after that overtake from Barry Burrowman, and that itself can open up the door for Domenico Levesque to potentially attack the Welshman here in lap 13 of 27.
But Idaho's got a penalty that's going to hurt him big time. 3 seconds added to his race time. And because of how close this field is, going to drop him a long way down. In comes Moreno then from the second place position. So Otmir will carry on to lead the French Grand Prix. In comes Matteo, and in comes some others as well. We have a couple of others in as well. We have Andreas Dormeyer in there as well. So Otmir on his way out. So Burrowman moves up to second, Idaho to third, Levesque to fourth, Lewis Welsh moves to fifth. Plenty of stops throughout the field right now. Moreno bringing those mediums quite a long way into the race right there, and he may get his reward later on in the race on the hard tyres now. Comes out in clean air, nobody in front of him, nobody behind him. That's the perfect scenario.
It is indeed. Moreno in the clear now. He can just focus on his race, try and just garner himself some time here on the cars ahead. He's got fresh tyres on. He can go for it here in lap 14 of 27. It is literally his race to run now. Otmir currently leading the charge, but he's clear as well. He's got so much clean air. He's well over 2.5 seconds clear of Barry Burrowman, who's in P2 and is still at the mercy of Josh Idaho, who is currently in P3. In behind as well, Domenico Levesque, still the same string of cars that have been leading us through the initial start of this Grand Prix. In behind as well, Lewis Welch coming into it. Fabrizio Donoso in P6. I think Ferrari, though, have had a right mare though here at the end of the day, Jack. I think both of them boxed at the same time. Martinez was the unfortunate casualty in that event because they had to stack. He's down to P19.
Yeah, such a shame for Tom Martinez. It might have been a miscommunication at Ferrari there between Preschnader and Martinez. And Tom was unfortunately the victim. He got held, and that's dropped him down to 19th place, nearly 5 seconds behind Alvaro Karaton, who's had an absolute shocker today as well. In comes Lewis Welch then from 5th place. He comes in front of Donoso. Yamulo comes in, as does Johannan and Jari Fitz. So all these guys going shorter on the hard tyres, but Jarno is carrying on out front. He was able to save those tyres behind Moreno and is going to be able to bring them a little bit longer here. But Moreno is going to come out in front of all of them, thankfully for him, and he's still got loads of clean air, 17 seconds of clean air to be exact, and he's going to be in a great position when these guys come out. But this is going to be now a very tight fight on pit exit between a couple of these guys. Lewis Welch comes out right behind Dylan Warren, and Jake Benham's also in the fight right now. This is going to be a great scrap between these guys. Lewis Welch inside of Dylan Warren, into the chicane they go side by side. Warren inside line switches back to the outside again as Lewis Welch hangs the inside, still side by side between the racing point of the hash, but it's now Lewis Welch at the head of that train with Dylan Warren. Should have the DRS this time, maybe able to get get back past him once again down the back straight. He does have the DRS, he's not able to use it. Jake Benham might be able to get the two of them. They're going to go 3 wide down towards the Mistral chicane. It's nearly not enough space. Jake Benham does the double, but it's still going to be Lewis Welsh on the inside. But Jake Benham has done the double on the run down to the Mistral chicane. This is unreal racing between some newbies in this league. Of course, Jake Benham, Dylan Warren, a veteran in this one. Time and Shooter has come out of nowhere to be in the middle of this one as well. But Jake Benham, double overtake. It was brilliant. Dylan Warren's trying to come back at him now into turn number 11, but is not able to quite get alongside on the entry to the corner. But Jake Benham, unreal overtake.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Time and Shooter as well at the mercy of Lewis Welch. But let's look at this. Dylan Warren very nearly losing a lot of pace there, and nearly at the mercy of Time and Shooter as well. Incredible racing from this bunch of drivers. It's been absolutely out of this world. And once again, we're seeing a tangle in the final corner, because here comes Time and Shooter and Dylan Warren down the stretch now. Lewis Welch coming to join the fray. He goes up alongside Warren. Warren on the outside of the corner heading into turn 1. Lewis Welch making it 3 wide, heading into the corner now in turn 1. Time and Shooter rolling on. Dylan Warren, the outside now of Lewis Welch, wheel to wheel. The racing point, the Pink Panther strikes on the inside. Now heading up towards the chicane. There's nothing between them, nothing separates them. But Dylan Warren still once again relentless. Lewis Welch goes for a spin. Very unfortunate result, but Dylan Warren remains in P11. What an incredible display in that last lap.
Oh, that was brilliant racing right up to just the unfortunate contact, and suddenly really fast the skies have clouded over here in France, and I think Jarno might have pulled a masterstroke if it starts raining right now. He's going to try and hang on to the very last moment if it doesn't rain. No, he's going to come into the pit lane right now, but it is getting very, very dark over the circuit right now. He's not able to bring those tires any further, so Jarno Watmere pits from the lead, and Moreno is now second. Matteo into third place after the pit stop, so Mateo's gained a huge amount. Barry Burrowman has fallen behind Andreas Dormeyer and Matteo, and is still under pressure from Josh Idawu, but Mateo's done a great job. 2 laps younger, older tires, and he comes out in net P3 right now. Danny Moreno on the back straight, Jarno on his way out of the pit lane. This is going to be very tight between the Mercedes, I'll tell you what, as they come down towards turn 1. Moreno's done him.
He has indeed. Moreno takes the lead of the French Grand Prix, but don't forget, Otmier's on medium tyres. In behind, Nicholas Matteo in P3 as well. Andreas Dormeyer in P4. Barry Burrowman in behind them as well in P5. And I have to say, Mercedes have pulled off the perfect strategy in this French Grand Prix. Absolutely amazing stuff. And I think they've got to give a little hat tip to their man, JD TRL Limitless, pulling off. I know he's a race engineer here today, and he's certainly done them wonders. P1 for Danny Moreno, P2 for Jarno Watmere, Mercedes in ecstasy.
Well, here comes Burrowman. He's going to try and get past Dormeyer, but doesn't have enough in the ERS to try and get past. So now they've fallen down behind these guys. Not ideal. They've got 2 lap younger tyres, Burrowman and Idawu, and unfortunately for them, they're stuck behind and they're not able to get through past this gaggle of cars. And masterstroke from Mercedes that time. Moreno 2 seconds in front, but of course, as you mentioned, Jarno has the fresher medium compound tyres, so should be faster. Mateo's 1.5 seconds behind the leaders, and Burrowman's gone for it on the inside of Andreas Dormeyer and gets the job done. That was aggressive, but he did get the job nicely done on the inside of turn 11. Now he's charging after the guys in front because he knows that this is probably this is his only chance to try and get after the Mercs right now. They're going to be trying to work together. Jarno's trying to get back in the DRS of Moreno, so Barry Burrowman has got to try and close up the gap now.
They certainly do. Burrowman has still got to levy his way past Nicholas Matteo, who's currently in P3. The gap currently lies around about 1.5 seconds, as far as I can see in between the pair of them right now, although they're starting to cascade down now. Obviously, our timing screens just need a little updating as they now make their way through. And I have to say, incredible stuff there. In fact, it's Nicholas Matteo's time that's actually slightly glitched there, when in fact Burrowman is only 0.2 of a second in behind that man, Nicholas Matteo, as they now round their way around the next right now, about to hit turn 7 into the Mistral Straight once again. And just look at this, you can see him behind there, what looks to be Domenico Levesque trying to close. Here comes Josh Idawu Maku this time, trying to make a move this time on Andreas Dormeyer into the next left of the Mistral chicane, and a nice inside move, textbook there from the McLaren Shadow driver, Josh Idowu. Exceptional stuff, and moves his way up into P5, and I've got to say that's pretty much a hat tip to his qualities and performance. He is certainly a relentless individual, a great racer, but now we've also got another battle on our hands as we're now witnessing Nicholas Matteo. Another move here by Burrowman coming into turn 13 and absolutely, turn 11, sorry, heading into turn 12, and he does it, the Alpha, up into the podium place. It's a superb drive here on the last couple of laps, and he is now in touching distance of the podium finish.
He certainly is. Great stuff from Barry Burrowman right there. He likes that inside move at turn 11 and makes it work once again. But as that happened, Otmir has caught up to Danny Moreno, and Moreno was not pushing at all. He's been just trundling around, saving the ERS, basically allowing Jarno to catch back up. And now they can work together once again. It's now as it was before the pit stops. Moreno with Otmir behind, Burrowman third, but Matteo with the great strategy slots himself between the Alfa Romeo and the McLaren. So Josh Idowu needs to make up positions right now. And there's a couple of guys with penalties, of course. Mateo's got a penalty, Josh Idowu's got a penalty, Dormeyer's got a penalty as well. So Idowu needs to make up as many positions as he can, because crucially, Preschneider has no penalties, and he could get himself in front of that man right there. As Jarno, here he goes, it's going to be a swap between the Mercs right now. No fight put up by Danny Moreno once again, and Jarno Otmir back into the lead of the French Grand Prix with some seriously good team tactics off Mercedes today.
Yeah, I gotta say, if we've ever seen a perfect league performance, I think we've just seen it. Donoso now moving his way up into P10. Time penalty for Nicholas Matteo, and that is surely not going to serve him right. Here comes Josh Idowu as well as they make their way down towards turn 10. The McLaren now in the midst of a move here, potentially on the Haas as they make their way down towards the next right. And indeed, I think he did it as well as they now make their way around the next right. He's now chasing Nicholas Matteo. In fact, in behind Andreas Dormeyer there as well with what looks to be Domenico Levesque in P7. And just look at Philip Preschneider getting closer and closer on Levesque himself as well as they round into Sector 3. They are literally hightailing it now into what will be their lap 19, heading into 20 very, very soon. And what a race it's been. Absolutely tremendous. But like you say, Jack, perfect strategy utilised by Mercedes.
Absolutely, it's getting even better for them because Jarnos has got the fastest lap of the race as well. So this is going to be the absolute perfect score. They've got a pole position in qualifying. They're running 1 and 2. They've also got the fastest lap of the race. And this is a perfect display of why they these two. They work perfectly together. And no big fights. They're just letting each other go when they know they're quicker. And this is great practice for F1 Esports when it's going to be even closer than this. But Moreno splitting the strategy, it's worked well for them. They've ended up 1 and 2. It's obviously not gone the way of Moreno. He's running on the older hard compound tyre, of course. And Jarno's on the fresher medium tyres. They're both going to be safe to the end. But they're just going to stick with each other now, not push, not wear the tyres out. And the fight is just going to happen behind them because here comes Domenico Levesque on Dormeyer, who's desperately trying to stay in front. There's going to be a move at turn 11. It's a little bit of a squeeze towards the inside by Dormeyer. Levesque goes up the inside into turn 11 towards turn 12. Has the inside for the next right-hander. Dormeyer tries his best to hang around the outside, but can't quite do it. Levesque gets the job done. He got a massive squeeze on the entry, but he had to give it up on the way through. Levesque's up to 6th.
Yeah, brilliant move by Domenico Levesque. Maku would be proud of that one. He said, are we going to see any moves going into turn 11? We've just seen one there. Domenico Levesque on Andreas Dormeyer moving up into P6, relegating Dormeyer down to P7. Now they're about to start their lap 21 of 27, and nothing separates this string of cars. Further back, you can see there Philip Preschneider currently at the mercy of this man who's been a bit quiet. Fabrizio Donoso here today, of course. We did fancy him to do well here at France here today, but obviously he's in the top 10. Points still in the offing potentially for the Chilean as he makes his way down towards turns 3 and 4, and still the string of cars being maintained. Just looking in behind as well, Thyman Shooter come to join the party, and there's a huge gap back then to Lewis Welch, who had an unfortunate spin earlier on, 1.2 seconds back, with Dylan Warren behind him, and looking to poke here on top of Lewis Welch as well. He does not want to let the Haas get away, and in behind they're pulling in Chana Kinchi as well, who, if you remember correctly, was at the back of the field earlier on, and he's now making a charge on Dylan Warren.
He certainly is. He's done quite well, the Turkish driver, just in behind these two. He's got a penalty, which is going to hurt him a little bit, but nonetheless, he's done well to get himself back up to where he is right now. You can see at the head of the field as well. Jarno's broken the DRS of Danny Moreno. They're both using
the
DRS at exactly the same time. Here we go between Idawu and Matteo, and also Dylan Warren and Lewis Welsh going neck and neck towards turn 11. And again, you can see Chanakinchi's gone for it on the outside of Dylan Warren. He's still there on the outside, has to give up the position, but he goes for it on the inside of the next corner. Dylan Warren leaves in the room and goes all the way around the outside of the next corner down towards turn 13, in towards 14. Akinchi's got the inside for the next corner, but Warren will try and cut back down towards the start-finish line. But Chanakinchi's into 13th place right now. No penalties for Dylan Warren, so he'll gain the position back anyway. But great stuff, great race between these guys. But Dylan Warren is not going to have any of that. He's going to try and come back in, but doesn't quite have the ERS to answer. But Chanakinchi's done the job at that position. But Josh Idawu, by the way, P5, he's chasing after Matteo, and he's getting very close to that rear wing.
He certainly is. Just look at him now. Then nothing separates him. Just look at them as they head around this next right-hander, soon to enter the straight of, well, the Mistral straight. Time penalty now applied to Lewis Welch. 3 seconds there in P12, as we're now witnessing Josh Idawu closing up this time on Nicolas Matteo, the Spaniard, in jeopardy here as they come up now towards the Mistral chicane. Now McLaren getting so exceptionally close. Coming in now, you can see the Williams there defending the position. Still nothing separates them. A matter of literally, it's just shavings in between the McLaren and the Williams now, heading down towards turn 10. And very shortly as they do so, will they go wheel to wheel? Not this time. Still Matteo hangs on, but don't count out Josh Idawu as they now round turn 11 once again. But the McLaren still holds on, holds on to the rear of the Williams. Still the Williams and Matteo holding on to that P4. Exceptional racing across the board, probably more than we expected. But Idawu has been relentless. They're coming down now into the last stages of Sector 3, Jack. It's been absolutely tremendous to watch. Tremendous racing. It may not be a battle for the lead, but it's a battle nonetheless. Points still in the offing.
Absolutely shame for Dylan Warren. He's just spun in Sector 2, got back going again, drops to 18, so that's not gone well for him, and he's going to now come into the pit lane, and that's maybe a retirement from this race for Dylan Warren, and a double. Oh dear. Okay, let's ignore what just happened there and move forward. I think he just got reset the track coming into the pit lane. I've never seen that one before. That's a new one.
But he's actually left the session. I think that's actually a retirement, Jack, potentially. I've just seen as well that Tom Martinez is in the pits as well, so I think he's had some damage too. As we look now at Josh Idawu trying to gather back on Nicolas Matteo. Looking further back as well, Jake Benham getting close to the rear end of Andreas Dormeyer. Nothing separates them either as they enter the chicane now. Once again, Barry Burrowman still leading this contingent of cars around, and Matteo getting exceptionally close to him as well as they make their way down towards turn 10. Still Idawu in the midst, in behind as well. Levesque having a great race here today. But still nothing on this Mercedes pairing at the top end. It's been absolutely tremendous as we now enter Sector 3 once again. But look at Idawu, ever relentless still, as Donoso attacks Prejnader and gets it, I believe gets it done as well. Donoso pinching that P9 spot off the Ferrari, and it has not been a good day for the prancing horses today.
No, it really hasn't. I think Prejnader is actually in trouble of actually not scoring any points, which is not what he needs to be doing. And if he doesn't score any points, that could be a massive gain for Otmir, for Moreno, and for Idawu in the championship, as well as Barry, who's in there right now. So this is going to close the championship right up to basically nothing heading into the next round, which is, of course, next week. Don't miss it. But lap 24 of 27. Burrowman slowly closing into Moreno, but it's not enough to catch him by the end of the race. So Burrowman still got that pace, but it's not enough to catch up to those Mercedes who have worked so well together throughout this race. Absolute perfect strategy executed by them. But Prejnader is in real trouble. He's struggling in P10. He's actually getting caught by Timon Schulte in the McLaren as well. So he could be really in danger of not scoring any points. And once again, the advantage that he had with Burrowman missing so many rounds is just falling away now.
Yeah, and just look at Chanakinchi now on Lewis Welch. Moves up into P11 and does so comprehensively. Lovely stuff indeed from Chanakinchi. He's really risen to the occasion here in the last stages of this race now. We've only got 3 laps remaining at this moment in time. Just look at Lewis Welch now getting close to Joe Hannon, who now has a look in behind that of Lewis Welch as they make their way around the next right-hander, and in fact still they rise through the next right-hander. Lewis Welch now having a good look down the inside. He's relentless. Don't forget, Lewis Welch is not scared to make moves here So do not count him out. Getting very close was Johannin, but just not close enough to make that audacious maneuver. Looking further up as well, though. Josh Idowu once again tapping on the rear of Nicholas Matteo.
He's getting close, but Mateo's sticking in the DRS of Burrowman, which is allowing him to stay in front of Idowu with the train. So he's doing enough right now as Nicholas Matteo to stay in front of. He's just sticking with Barry Burrowman each time by. So it's good stuff from him. Burrowman's also got the fresher tyres compared to Moreno, and Moreno's going to be kind of nursing them now to try and get to the end, but he should be safe. Burrowman's just nipping a couple of tenths a lap, but not enough to catch him. But the real battle is behind him. It's Matteo, Idowu, Levesque, Dormeyer's in there too, Jake Benham up to 8th, Donoso's in 9th. Remember, he has no penalties. He's got on to gain some serious positions at the end of this race. But Idowu now has got a real opportunity on Matteo down towards the chicane. Looks to the inside line on the Williams. He leaves him room, but Matteo, not having any of it, goes around the outside, keeps his foot in it, and stays in front of the McLaren. And the McLaren has no answer just yet. Matteo doing an excellent job to look after the ERS to stay in front. Idowu's going to have to be patient in these next few laps to get himself through. He's only 2 laps to go across the line. Idowu's going to have to make it now or never. It's also the perfect thing has been taken away from Jan Watmer because Tom Martinez has stolen fast lap.
He certainly has, and just look at Idowu now. He is not letting Nicholas Matteo go. He's determined, he is, to overtake this Williams driver as they head down towards the next left very shortly. This being, of course, turn 14 before they enter the last corner at turn 15 to start lap 25 of 27. It's been an exquisite, or their lap 26 of 27, should I say. They're about to cross the line now. There you can see Nicholas Matteo in the midst. Barry Burrowman able to stretch the gap in between him and Matteo slightly, but not enough to cripple any opportunity of losing that P3 spot. Barry Burrowman still doing his absolute best to try and claw any scrap of an advantage at this moment in time, as we can now see Josh Idowu rounding the first, or at least the first few bends here, turns 3, 4, and now 5, trying to gain as much as he can on Nicholas Matteo. Time penalty now for Chana Kinchi yet again. Another 3 seconds, and all that hard work that he's done is now going to be for naught now. Another 3 seconds applied. That's going to be so brutal when the gaps are just so thin.
Absolutely, indeed. Oh no, Tom Martinez is out of the race as well, and he stole the fastest lap, and I can't quite say if he's just pulled it into pit lane and retired from the race. That's such a shame for Tom. Got held up in the pit lane earlier on, and that's cost him big time as Lewis Welsh runs wide. Alvaro Karaton's having a scrap with him right now. It's been a day to forget for Alvaro Karaton. Has been unable to make any moves anywhere throughout this race, but it's now getting a little bit spicy up in 3rd place right now. You can see Burrowman's brought the gap down rapidly to Danny Moreno, down to 1.6 seconds now. Matteo was very close to making an overtake on Burrowman through there, got very close to the back, but it's the final lap for now. Jan Watmer is going to come across the line to take the white flag the last lap, but it's going to be basically anyone's game behind.
It certainly will be. And there's Barry Burrowman in behind as well. Nicholas Matteo as they rush down towards turn 1. And Otmir now leading on the final lap of the race. It's been a comprehensive performance from Mercedes, I have to say. And Moreno now just needs to hold on and obviously try and maintain that P2 spot, of course, to give the Mercedes team their perfect race here today, obviously here at the Paul Ricard circuit. It's been an absolutely dynamic affair, and I hope you've all enjoyed it as well. I want to hear who your driver of the day has been in this race. As we now look further back, you can see that Idowu getting so close to the rear end of Nicholas Matteo yet again. How often have we seen these two going at it? As we're now on the final lap, surely it's going to be all guns blazing to the checkered flag now, as we're now seeing them enter the Mistral chicane, and Idowu having a look there as Matteo had to go to abrasive action to try and shut the door, but nothing could be done there to prevent that. If he left the door open, that could have allowed Idowu in at last minute, as they now enter the next right-hander at turn 10, very soon to be turn 11. Still they go wheel to wheel, but what a perfect performance this has been, Jack. Mercedes, a 1-2, an exceptional performance.
Yeah, nobody could do anything to displace them. It's exactly like real F1, and this is why they signed these guys. Through the last corner comes Jan Watmer. He's had a couple of weeks off to participate in Formula E. He is back with a bang. It's a Mercedes 1-2, but it's Jan Watmer who wins the French Grand Prix from Danny Moreno, who crossed the line for second, and Barry Burrowman returns to the podium in third place, and it sorts itself out with penalties behind. Levesque is fourth, Idawu is fifth, and Donoso gets himself sixth place on the line. Jake Benham, Matteo, Preschnader, and the final points position goes to Timon Shooter in 10th place in the McLaren. Brilliant stuff. That is how you do it.
It is, absolutely. Jarno Opmeer, the Flying Dutchman, returns to PSGL with, incredibly, his second win of the season. Absolutely incredible. Well, actually, no, his first win of the season. I do apologise. His first win of the season, and what a way to do it as well. Mercedes, in exuberant form, have done it exactly the way they wanted to do it. A tremendous race. Danny Moreno coming home in P2. It's been a perfect day for the Black Arrows. Barry Burrowman, a sobering return to PSGL. P3 for the Alfa Romeo driver, but what a scrap to get himself there as well. He looked like he was going to finish on the outside of it, with Josh Idawu potentially bringing it home last minute, but there we go. There's your results. Jarno Opmeer takes victory here at France. Danny Moreno in P2. Barry Burrowman P3. Domenico Levesque P4. Josh Idawu P5. Fabrizio Donoso in P6. Jake Benham P7. Nicholas Matteo P8. Philip Preschnader P9. Timon Shooter P10. OMG, it's Jojo Hannon there in P11. Alvaro Karaton P12. Andreas Dormeyer P13. Dario Iamulo in P14. Yari Fitz P15, Lewis Welch P16, Chana Kinchi P17, Dylan Warren unfortunately fell down the order P18, Tom Martinez unfortunately a DNF as well as Ruben Vallejo, who was also a DNF. But what an incredible race, folks. We enjoyed every minute of that. I gotta say, driver of the day, Jack, it's hard to call. I think it was a Mercedes team effort, don't you think?
Yeah, I couldn't actually pick either of them because they both drove so well. To get themselves to hold on to that one. But actually, if I were to give it to anyone, I'm going to give it to Timon Shooter. He started 19th, got himself in the points. Great drive.
That is a superb drive. I'll agree with you on that. Tremendous driver of the day performance, up into the top 10 after starting where he did. Timon Shooter, a huge talent. Credit to him. He's my driver of the day as well. Please obviously leave your comments for driver of the day and also vote as well on the voting system, folks. But we're going to have interviews, of course, with hopefully the Flying Dutchman, Jarno Opmeer, and of course Danny Moreno as well. So please stay tuned for that. He is in fact in the waiting room, so we'll pull him in now. And here he is. Jarno, wowee. Perfect performance. I think that pretty much sums that up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was very good race. Couldn't stick with Danny in the DRS when he was in the mediums, and then well, we pulled quite a big gap, so that was very nice. So yeah, very good to get a 1-2 together with Danny, and yeah, that boosts us quite hard in the constructors. So very good. Yeah,
no, perfect showing, and certainly flexing your muscles in qualifying as well. You had 3 P1s out of 3, and I have to say, confidence around Paul Ricard is obviously very solid.
Yeah, I already noticed in practice with others that pace was really good in qualifying. Usually I get a little bit more into the rhythm in the race, so yeah, then in the race I think it was quite clear the pace advantage. And yeah, and then in the end I could chill around a bit, take it more safe, not got any warnings, and just cruise it home basically.
Absolutely. Well, and certainly the weather didn't do anything to dampen your hopes. Obviously in qualifying, it can be a very complicated issue, obviously, when it comes down to changeable conditions, especially in qualifying when a lot's on the line. I think the true telling of that was Alvaro Karaton losing out in Q1. Just how treacherous can it be in those situations when you have that change in conditions? And, you know, it can obviously, it sort of judges when you're going to enter the circuit, doesn't it? You have to really pick your moments to sort of come out onto the track.
Yeah, that as well. Of course, track conditions in wet weather conditions are really important, and then especially on Paul Ricard, it's very hard to see where you're going in the wet. As it's so open. One. So yeah, no, just everywhere. Also in the long back straight, when you approach the chicane, it's very hard to see where you're exactly going. So yeah, it helped that I was quite confident around this track, and then get fastest in the wet. So yeah, and then final qualifying, drying up track, I think it helps a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's your second win of the season. You obviously won in race 5. We've got 2 additional tracks coming into the calendar, so we're pretty much about halfway through the season. So a great opportunity for you now to pick up some points. The general outlook, obviously, the grid is is definitely very hench. Lots of challenges looking to win the title. What's your confidence like leading towards the second half of the season?
I missed a lot of races because of Formula E, of course. So it's going to be very, very tough to be in contention for the championship fight. I'm not sure how far I'm behind, so I'm just aiming for race wins at this point. And then maybe we can look at other things later on in the season. I'm not sure how many more races there are coming after this, but yeah, Philip, who's done every single race, is probably leading by quite a bit. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but still, it isn't impossible. I think so.
No, we've got 6 races to do it in, so there's plenty in the offing, and so we'll definitely see what happens. In fact, no, I think it's 5. In fact, obviously after today, I was counting today's race, of course, but you know, it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the tail end of the championship. So you're well within the fight. Just need to win every race. That would help, I have to say. Yeah, well,
yeah, those will be ideal.
No, congratulations, Jarno, and great win, and obviously well done to JD as well. Master stroke strategy. I'll have to give him that too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on now, we have Barry Burrowman in the comms box as well. Barry, welcome back.
First of all, hello to you and hello to everyone who are watching this, and thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you back, Barry. Obviously, new rig now, feeling good. You finally managed to get it delivered to your new place, of course, because I understand you've been traveling a little bit. But obviously, great to be back and in amongst it here at PSGL. Great to see you back on the track again. But was it a case that it simply was a Mercedes day today, just did not let you in?
To be honest, I should say I still a little bit getting used to my rig, but it's not going to be the reason for sure. In the first stints, I had a massive understeer for the hard, like no pace at all. And yeah, I don't know, like Mercedes really doing, like GG to the engineer who really did this. They really help each other. And to be honest, my pace wasn't really ideal in the first stint, but in the second stint, it was really nice. I think when I back to the track after the pit stop, like my gap to Jarno was like 4.95, and in the last lap it turned to like 3.5, 3.6, and nearly catch Danny. But yeah, to be honest, I should say no. I lost pole in the final corner. I should say I completely locked up and lost the apex. I lost like 2/10 there. And yeah, but I knew like this track wasn't really ideal for me. I had a really struggle to find a pace, but I found a really nice feeling and nice pace in the quali. But in the race, even I thought like I tested the soft, hard, medium, hard, but it was quite good, but really didn't test the hard, medium, and didn't know like the first thing for a hard gonna be so much understay in my car. Like I got 2 warnings in my first testing and non-warnings till the end of the race. But I should say it's gonna be a tough one, because if they gonna work each other every races till the end of the season, I will do my best, and I'm looking forward to. I know I can challenge them, but you know it's tough one because I have to fight with 2 of them, and probably Jarno is he's a world champion, and Danny's a really good driver as well. But yeah, looking forward, I should say I lost the race probably after first testing. They really help each other, and I didn't have that good pace. So still not bad P3, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to next track USA, because yeah, I really didn't like I really don't like the Paul Ricard, because it doesn't suit me. Even in the day one I start practicing, but I still managed to find as I said, good quality pace, but it's still in the race pace, need to practice more. But yeah, anyway, I will take that P3 and looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, I hate to burst your bubble, Barry, but we're not actually going to Kota next week. We're actually going elsewhere. Jack, can you enlighten Barry on where we are next week?
It's Kota.
It is Kota. I thought we were doing.
It is Kota.
I thought we were fitting one in before the Circuit of the Americas. Was I?
No, that was today.
Whoops! Sorry about that, folks.
It's Circuit of the Americas next week.
That's a Mariaism.
Okay,
That's a Mariaism if I've ever seen one. Yeah, thank you, Murray, for that one. But yeah, no, amazing stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, and by the way, congrats to I should say, Mercedes team and Jan Opmeer, and I don't know, like, I think the engineer was JD. Just congrats to them because, yeah, to be honest, they did a fantastic job. They did like it is a F1 eSport race. But yeah, as I said, looking forward to battle them, and I'm sure I will do my best to see what I can do.
Yeah, well, no, absolutely. There's still plenty of racing left for the rest of the season. We'll obviously have to keep our eyes on it, obviously, as we head to the USA next week. We'll look forward to seeing that. And then, of course, the rest of the season, I will, of course. We have big hopes for you, of course, as well, Barry. We want to see more Opmeer and Burrowman fights. So hopefully that is going to be the case. But great to have you back with us here at PSGL, and we'll look forward to next week.
Yeah, thank you so much, and definitely for the next week I will be there, so no worries.
Great stuff. Excellent. Thank you, Barry. Next up, we have Fabrizio Donoso. Fabs, on your signing today with Alpine. What a way to come back.
Yeah, thank you, Gio. Thank you. Yeah, quite a shame for the quali, but I think I managed to do the race pretty well. A clean one. No big mistakes. Avoiding the chaos ahead. Got a bit unlucky in the pits. Had to wait for like 2 or 3 cars to go by me, so lost at least two and a half seconds. 3. That could have put me in the fight with top 3. With the train of Barry, Domenico, and Josh. But no, I was enjoying the race, pushing the second stand. I was flat out every lap to make up some position, and yeah, happy as well to not get a penalty in a track like France. It's always hard to keep it clean. But yeah, I didn't. I don't think I had the pace today too. Especially in quali, I was quite a bit off, so I went for the race setup instead of the quali setup, which I think helped at the end. So yeah, no, not about the race considering what happened.
No, I thought it was a superb performance. I think, obviously, and I think you'd possibly agree, I think, obviously, when you try and get out of that DRS train, it can be so difficult, can't it? Because you've got a string of cars pulling each other along throughout the circuit, and especially around France, because it's a flat circuit, a lot of straights, very difficult to get out of the DRS train, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, the first stint after lap 1, if you don't gain like a few positions, then you're gonna stay there until the pit stop. It's inevitable. So yeah, I think I had good ERS management as well. I was able to make some moves thanks to that. So maybe the pace wasn't that as bad as I thought, especially in the race. I think I had quite good pace.
Yeah, no, definitely. You were up there fighting, that's for sure. I mean, we saw you in the midst of a few battles in that midfield, and it was good to see, that's for sure. And it almost seems like you've rejuvenated recently. I mean, I'm not sure whether you can talk us through your season, but you've sort of, I know you've had a few slumps as well in the past where things haven't quite gone your way, but you've come here now and you're looking almost refreshed, a new outlook on things, scoring regular points. You've seen a new lease of life, a new fresh confidence.
I think so. Yeah, I would like to think so. I think the word you use, refresh, is the right one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have a much more clear mind coming into the race and in practice. Just enjoying driving actually. The last season was always about to change my rig every week or something because I wasn't happy. So yeah, coming off out of the game and back at it again with a brand new rig at home, with time to properly set everything, I think it definitely helped me, and I'm definitely seeing the improvements. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working on my side and push until the season starts.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that you've had this new lease of life, which is absolutely brilliant. And I just want to touch on this this whole thing with Alpine as well. Great to hear, of course, that you've been re-signed as well as with the team, along with Nicolas Longuet. and you've brought in Tom as well. Tom is now part of the team. So tell us about Tom. What's his role as ambassador?
So he's mainly gonna be doing content creation for the team, and also make the bridge between real and virtual stuff more clear to everyone, so we can have more people involved. So that's basically going to be his role inside the team, and we're definitely very happy to have him on board as well.
Oh, that's tremendous to hear, and obviously credit to his hard work as well on content creation on his own channel as well. So well done him, and well done to you. We'll look forward to seeing what you do in the future PSGL races to come, Fabs. Well done, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Excellent. Take care. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Jack, another great race, and again bearing witness to a Mercedes domination. I think it's we sort of expected it, I think, a little bit. Otmir now back, Danny Moreno as well alongside him, Barry Burrowman in the top three as well. It's the perfect top three, I suppose, in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, and that was kind of the first time we got to see it kind of in action. The two of them working together, not fighting, but properly going for it. Not fighting with each other, swapping places, and just executing a perfect strategy, and left everybody else for dead 3 seconds up the road from everybody else. I mean, that's a lot in a grid this competitive, and if they're able to pull that off in the actual F1 Esport, that's going to be the powerhouse team to keep your eye on, Mercedes. So really, really strong stuff from Jarno and from Danny. And of course, Barry's still getting used to his rig. We all know that, but it's nice. It's great to see him back. We saw the pace come back at the very end, as he mentioned. He was starting to reel in Danny Moreno, and it was a real shame as well for Alvaro Karaton. I don't know what happened today, but he ended up finishing 12th outside the points. Preschneider only managing 9th. So the points this is going to be super, super tight at the end of this. We have 6 races left to go. US next week, and then we head to Mexico after that. And you'd be happy to know, ladies and gentlemen, there are no more breaks in the calendar. We're going straight through for the next 6 weeks, no breaks. Every single week we've got a race on, so you can all look forward to that. And a quick public service announcement as well to anybody who's using the task system in chat. Thank you very much for using it, by the way. And just to anyone who's using the command to get the championship points up, which is a great feature, politely ask you not to use it because the points are actually incorrect on it because we're missing a round in it. So do not take the points from the task system as correct. They are not, because I was an idiot at Spain and forgot to set up TAS. So that's my fault. But the points will be published on the PSGL Twitter channel, so keep your eyes on that.
Absolutely, folks. So make sure you follow those directives. I mean, yeah, like I said, big thank you to everybody who's been tuning in and getting involved on the broadcast as well. We obviously thank every single one of you for all your support every single day. It does not go unnoticed. I have to say, together we will rise, folks. We're developing this incredible scene here in the world of F1 esports and the world of PSGL as well. You know, naturally, first season into the PC leagues, and it's been a total game changer. We have certainly risen the bar in terms of broadcasting, in terms of racing. The whole package has just been a dream, and I'd like to thank you guys for being as much of a part of that as we are, and many others as well. Please leave a like and a subscribe if you haven't done so already, and also you can check me out on Twitter as well at GeorgeMorganTV, and you can check, is that even a word? Check out Jack C. Combs as well. That's Jack Canan, Jack C. Combs on his Twitter as well. And stay tuned. Make sure you stay tuned for our next race, Circuit of the Americas. We're going stateside at the Circuit of the Americas. We'll see you next week, folks. Goodbye.